Warrior Lore. Chapter 3977. Wang Xian looked in the direction Long Yinhao was looking. In his line of sight, at the other half of Tianyuan Peak, there were two forbidden grounds that occupied a huge area. Waves of vast energy came from there without the slightest concealment. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked over. There were 4 Pinnacle Universe Sovereigns. Each forbidden ground had 2 Pinnacle Universe Sovereigns. Omniscient Forbidden Ground focused on the wind element. The creation of Tianyuan was also of the wind element. However, Omniscient Forbidden Ground had experts of all kinds of elements, including swordsmen and sorcerers. The Flowing Water Forbidden Ground was different. Most of them cultivated the water element, and most of them were sorcerers. Not bad. Both Omniscient Forbidden Ground and Flowing Water Forbidden Ground are very powerful in the 9-source universe. Wang Xian thought to himself. Not far from these 2 forbidden grounds, another forbidden ground caught his attention. Space Forbidden Ground. This was also a very pure forbidden ground. All the forbidden grounds were space attribute cultivators. In this universe where space was king and could challenge those of a higher level, one could imagine how terrifying a powerful space force was. The master of the Space Forbidden Ground was said to be second only to the creation of Tianyuan. Wang Xian looked around. Only these 3 forces could catch his attention. They could make Wang Xian a little wary. The other forbidden grounds, sacred schools and sacred grounds were fine. Wang Xian could deal with them with the help of the creation of Tianyuan treasure. I, Lang Yi, would like to challenge Saint Jingjiu, who is ranked 10th. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded. Soon after, a figure flew toward the arena. Phew! A reply was heard. Wang Xian looked over. The challenge had begun. In the next few hundred years, the struggle for rankings would be the fiercest. Being in the top 20 would have many benefits. In addition, all the forbidden grounds, sacred schools, and sacred schools were participating in the Genius Leaderboard this time. If one could make a name for himself here, even if it was just by 1 rank, it would be a huge boost to his reputation. In addition, he could raise the reputation of the force he belonged to. Therefore, whether it was the powerful saints or saintesses, or the saints and saintesses who wanted to challenge, they all hoped to improve their ranking. Since Wang Xian's realm had increased, his ranking could definitely be improved. However, he had no interest in challenging them. As long as he could get into the top 10, that was enough. At this time, Wang Xian also noticed a familiar voice in a corner. Roving Sword and the others were the leaders of the 5 mystic dragons. They were located slightly further away from the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land. The group of mystical dragons and Roving Sword had clearly sensed Wang Xian's presence. Wang Xian nodded at them without saying a word. In front of him, the battle between the 2 saints had already begun. All sorts of energies were bombarding the center. The elders of every sacred ground and forbidden area were resisting the aftershocks of their battle. The battle lasted for a few days. The challenge failed. Wang Xian sat there and watched calmly. He had some understanding of the strength of the 10th-ranked Sky Pride. 3rd Order Universe Sovereign Realm. This was the threshold of the 10th rank. As for 4th Order Sovereigns, there were only 5. Wang Xian's ranking was almost invincible among the 3rd Order Universe Sovereigns. After all, he had killed the Star City Saint of the First Law Sacred Courtyard in 3 moves. He had a solid battle record. The challenge ahead continued. Disciples and dark horses rushed out one after another. If there were any hidden talents in the Sky List at the beginning, however, faced with the temptation of opportunities, all the Sky Prides of the Sacred Courtyard did not hide anything. As a result, the rankings were constantly changing. A dark horse appeared. After a few years, a dark horse suddenly appeared. The elders of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land were shocked when they saw this. It had only been 200 years, and a dark horse had appeared. He succeeded in challenging the 10th rank. In less than 100 years, the saintess in front of Wang Xian was defeated. Since the saintess in front was defeated, the challenger would have her name. The loser would take a step back. Just the appearance of a dark horse pushed Wang Xian's ranking to the 9th rank. This is bad. Why are there so many dark horses? Not even half the time has passed. The 3rd elder furrowed his eyebrows slightly upon seeing this. Now that Wang Xian was in the 9th rank, If there were more dark horses, Wang Xian would be ranked after the 10th rank. After the 10th rank, the quota to enter the universe ruins would be reduced by 10. Wang Xian saw that there was another person in front of him, but he did not feel anything. With his strength, it was enough to stabilize the top 10. This time, because of the universe ruins, there are many dark horses. They are all trying their best to fight their way into the top 20, especially the top 10. As for the top 10 Sky Prides, they want to get a higher ranking and continue to challenge to fight for a higher ranking. After all, this is too important. It's also the stage for all the Sky Prides to show off. After 100 years, the 10th ranked Sky Prides were challenged again. I want to challenge the 9th ranked Saint, Wang Xian. Come out. However, to Wang Xian's surprise, the Saintess who had just defeated the previous 10th ranked Sky Prides recovered her injuries and energy and continued to challenge. Brother Wang Xian, this is bad. This guy wants to challenge you. Xiao Xian, are you confident? He is very strong. I feel that he was holding back when he defeated the previous 10th ranked Sky Prides. His dark sword technique is really powerful. When the elders and disciples of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground saw that Wang Xian was the first to be challenged, their expressions changed slightly as they looked at Wang Xian. You want to challenge me? Wang Xian was taken aback and revealed a surprised look. However, when Wang Xian heard the challenge, he was taken aback. He was taken aback for a moment before he laughed. He did not fly over directly. Instead, he waved his arm and a sword of space instantly appeared in front of the challenger. The sword of space exuded a terrifying force, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. Compared to the past, I have already broken through. You are no match for me, Wang Xian said plainly. As soon as he finished his sentence, the saint who challenged Wang Xian stiffened and revealed a shocked look. You have broken through? Third Order Universe Sovereign Realm? He was taken aback and could not help but ask. Wang. At this moment, the sword of space that was flying in front of him shook. Boom. A wave of horrifying energy slashed towards him. When the saint saw it, his expression changed drastically and he quickly defended with all his might. Chapter 3978. Rumble, 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 bam, bam, bam. A sword of space flew towards the challenger. The saint's expression changed drastically as he waved the sword of darkness in his hand to block. However, in the process of resisting, his body was constantly being pushed back. He had to retreat a long distance before he could barely block Wang Xian's casual attack. What a strong attack. The saint's face turned grave when he saw the sword of space in front of him vanish. Given your strength, Saint Wang Xian, you won't just be in the 9th place. You can fight for the top 5 or 6. He couldn't help but say to Wang Xian again. It's fine as long as I can get into the top 10. I'm not asking for much. Wang Xian replied with a smile. His words made the saint's face darken. The 8th place was also an expert at the Third Order Universe Sovereign Realm. However, he was the Saint of the Forbidden Space. The Saint of the Forbidden Space was at the Third Order Universe Sovereign Realm and could fight across realms. He was definitely not a match for him. In other words, unless he was at the Fourth Order Universe Sovereign Realm, he could forget about getting into the top 9. As for the Saint, he had to be invincible among the Third Order Universe Sovereigns in order to maintain his current ranking. The pressure was immense. Damn, it can't be. Big Brother Wang Xian broke through again? Another breakthrough? Isn't this too terrifying? Our Saint Wang Xian's breakthrough is as easy as drinking cold water. His talent is too terrifying. Is this our holy son Wang Xian? Given his combat strength, he might be able to get into the top 5. Top 5, that's about it. I feel that our Saint Wang Xian is stronger than the Saint of the Forbidden Space. This is too heaven-defying. Our Saint Wang Xian's current combat strength can already challenge a Fourth Order Universe Sovereign Realm expert. Even in our Dragon Roar Forbidden Space, this is very impressive. When everyone around Wang Xian saw this, their faces were filled with shock, especially Long Yinhao and the rest. Back then, they knew that Wang Xian had just entered the Moon Pagoda. When he first entered, he might have concealed his strength and was not just at the Sixth Order Universe Sovereign Realm. But later on, they found out that he was a peak universe venerable. In just a few tens of millions of years, he had already reached the third-order universe sovereign realm. Moreover, it was the most difficult to cultivate the spatial attribute. It was widely acknowledged that the space attribute was difficult to cultivate. The spatial forbidden zone was ranked third among all the Holy Land's forbidden zones. That was already very terrifying, right? However, the Saint of the Forbidden Space was only ranked 8th on the prodigy list. The Saintess was even in the 20s. This was because the space attribute was too difficult to cultivate. Even though they were able to challenge those of a higher cultivation level, there wasn't much that could be done to reach the peak. In the entire forbidden space, there weren't many peak cosmos sovereigns. In fact, they could be counted on one hand. Of course, their great destructive power and combat power were enough to make up for their lack of experts. At the same time, in front of them, in the thoughtful forbidden land, the flowing water forbidden land, and the space forbidden land, all the experts and disciples were stunned when they saw this. All eyes were on Wang Xian, especially the saints, saintesses, and geniuses of the Holy Lands. This Wang Xian's strength is really not simple. I heard that he was able to ascend to the 9th level of the testing tower and kill 4 shadows of trial that were 1 level higher than him. With this foundation, that Suni's strength shouldn't be as strong as him. Senior brother, I really didn't expect that on this continent, apart from us and the few from the flowing water forbidden land, there would be such powerful peers. We have really underestimated them. In the thoughtful forbidden land, a man and a woman were conversing, and they were the saints and saintesses of the thoughtful forbidden land. They were highly respected existences on the entire continent. When they traveled, no one dared to offend them. This was the prestige and status of the thoughtful forbidden land. The real dark horses are this Wang Xian from the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land and that roving sword from the Void Dragon Forbidden Land. Not far away, a woman holding a magic ball slowly opened her mouth and said, "Yes, if they are given enough resources and opportunities, their strength will not be weaker than ours." Next to the woman holding the magic ball, a young man nodded in agreement. They were the saints and saintesses of the flowing water forbidden land. Around them, some experts and disciples were also discussing Wang Xian in whispers. At present, Wang Xian's strength and talent were enough to catch the attention of the experts in this universe. Xiao Xian, I didn't expect you to break through again. That's great. You'll definitely be in the top 10 this time. The elders of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land exclaimed excitedly when they saw him. Don't worry, elders. There's still a place for me in the top 10. Wang Xian smiled. Given his current strength, he was confident that he would be in the 3rd place. Roving Sword was no match for him. Of course, there was no need to compete. Roving Sword admitted defeat with just 1 sentence from Wang Xian. Big brother Wang Xian, you're too amazing. How can you cultivate so fast? My cultivation is so slow. Long Yinin looked at Wang Xian with admiration. He said with a face full of admiration, "Hee, let's see if I can help you in your next cultivation session." Next, the competition continued, but the battles for the top 10 were much fewer. However, there were far fewer battles in the top 10. With Wang Xian in 9th place, they would have to consider if they wanted to challenge him. In fact, some saints and saintesses would rather challenge Su and I, who was in 8th place, than Wang Xian, who was in 9th place. 1,000 years quickly passed by. As time went by, the number of challenges decreased. The top 20 had basically been locked down. As for the rankings at the back, the Forbidden Grounds and Sacred Colleges didn't really care. Only the top 20 had the authority to bring their disciples inside. First of all, congratulations to the top 20 Supreme Talents for achieving such outstanding results. When the names were confirmed, an old man from the ominous Forbidden Land soared into the sky and stood in the middle of Tianyuan Peak. He exuded a vast power. Looking over, one could see his entire body and face clearly from every angle. It was as though one couldn't even see his back. I believe all the experts from the Forbidden Grounds and Sacred Colleges know about the Cataclysm. Although there are still billions of years before the Cataclysm, we still have to prepare in advance. Following this, all of us from the Forbidden Lands and the Sacred Institute will gradually come up with some rules and regulations. Of course, this is something for the future. The disciples on the chosen roll this time around will be the main fighting force of our cataclysm in the future. The Forbidden Grounds and Sacred Colleges have decided to send the talented supreme talents, saints and saintesses, to a treasure land to cultivate and seek opportunities. The old man from the ominous Forbidden Land said. Chapter 3979. This treasure land is the center of the universe ruins, the core of a battlefield. In the Great War of the Last Cataclysm, many top-notch experts perished there, including dozens of peak universe dominators. The corpses of the experts are floating there, and their treasures might also be there. In addition, there are also their special items. Of course, none of this is easy to obtain. It depends on fate, one's ability, and one's luck. However, even if you don't obtain any fortuitous encounters or treasures, cultivating there will still be extremely beneficial to all of you. Cultivating there won't be inferior to cultivating in the Forbidden Grounds and Sacred Institute. The expert from the ominous Forbidden Land continued his introduction. In the surroundings, all the experts and sky prides from the Sacred Grounds and Forbidden Grounds revealed excited expressions. Also, I have to remind all of you little fellows that after you enter, don't just think about treasures and resources. Over there, the ordinary areas are not dangerous, but the things left behind around the corpses of the powerhouses contain terrifying power. For all of you, a single misstep could cost you your lives. An old lady from the flowing water, Forbidden Land added after the expert from the ominous Forbidden Land had finished speaking. That's right. Treasures aren't that easy to obtain. If they were that easy, we would have taken them all. All disciples from the Forbidden Grounds and Sacred Institute come to Tianyuan Peak. The other experts are not to follow. The great elder of the flowing water Forbidden Land and I will bring them to a place and then teleport them over. The expert from the ominous Forbidden Land nodded. Xiaoxian, you will lead the team from the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land. Let's go. When the great elder of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land heard the words of the expert from the ominous Forbidden Land, he immediately instructed Wang Xian and the rest. All of you disciples, remember to listen to the orders of your holy son, Wang Xian. Understood? Yes, great elder. The group of 20 disciples answered excitedly. This time, they were fortunate enough to be able to enter the cosmic ruins. For them, it was already a great opportunity. Among the disciples who could enter, they were definitely the weakest and had the worst talents. Once they entered, they would naturally be cozying up to Wang Xian. Let's go over. Wang Xian nodded his head. With a swift move, he flew forward. Wang Xian stood together with the group of disciples from the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land. The other holy sons and holy daughters of the Sacred Academy also flew over. However, the omniscient Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land had the most people. The disciples from the two Forbidden Lands added up to about 1,000 people. In other words, each family had 500 members. There were only about 100 disciples in the Forbidden Space, which was a lot less. The rest of the top 10 Forbidden Lands, Sacred Grounds, and Sacred Academies only had around 100 spots. From this, one could see the strength and status of the thoughtful Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land. All the saints, saintesses, and prodigies from all the forces added up to only about 2,000 of them. All right, let's go. The cultivator from the obscene Forbidden Land waved his arm, and a wave of energy enveloped them. The next second, everyone felt the scene in front of them change. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings. The space around them was very strange. It was as if they were in a broken glass. The surrounding space was shattered. If one were to casually enter a space, they might not even know where they were. And it's hard to come back here. I will open the passage into the universe ruins. After you enter, remember, do not kill each other. Barbarian, Lu Yu, you too will maintain order. You can deal with those who kill each other. The cultivator from the omniscient Forbidden Land said, his eyes falling on the saints and flowing water, Forbidden Land saintesses. The two of them were the only ones whose strength had reached the Fifth Order Universe Sovereign Realm. Yes, Grand Elder. Yes, Grand Elder Wu. The barbarian saint and Lu Yu saintess immediately cupped their hands in acknowledgement. The cultivator from the omniscient Forbidden Land nodded and looked at the old woman from the flowing water Forbidden Land. The old woman waved her arm, and a glass-like object appeared. The old man threw out the same object. The two objects fused together. Wong. A passage gradually appeared in front of all the saints, saintesses, and prodigies. Go inside. This passage can only be opened once every 100 million years. The last time it was opened was 1 billion years ago. This is enough for you to cultivate for a very long time. As for when you will come out, you will know when the time comes. The old woman from the flowing water Forbidden Land said slowly, "Enter." Yes. The group of saints and saintesses answered immediately. Under the lead of the disciples from the omniscient Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land, the rest of the saints, saintesses, and prodigies entered directly. Wang Xian led the group of disciples from the roaring dragon Forbidden Land in. At the side, Roving Sword brought along 20 underlings and followed at the side. Wang Xian swept his gaze over, and a smile appeared on his face. Entering this place, he might be able to let him lie in. Who knows, he might have an unexpected harvest then. Moreover, according to them, dozens of Pinnacle Universe Sovereign Realm experts had fallen in the center of this place. In that case, there must be treasures here as well. When Wang Xian and the rest stepped into the passage, they immediately felt the world spinning. Oh my God! SSS, what's that in front? Is it a corpse? What a terrifying, humongous corpse. What kind of creature is this? It's so huge. Even if it's just a skeleton, its aura is terrifying. As soon as Wang Xian entered, exclamations of surprise could be heard. Wang Xian's eyes flickered slightly, and he immediately looked ahead. Wow, my God, what kind of giant beast is this? Beside him, Long Yining also looked ahead with a face full of shock. It was the corpse of an incomparably huge beast. When Wang Xian saw the corpse, he immediately recognized it. The corpse of a giant beast of the Starry Sky universe. This was the corpse of a Pinnacle Universe Sovereign Realm beast. The corpse contained a special elemental energy that filled the entire space. This is the corpse of a giant beast of the Starry Sky universe. According to the records of the omniscient Forbidden Land, the Starry Sky universe is a very powerful universe. They give birth to terrifying giant beasts of the Starry Sky universe. However, these giant beasts of the Starry Sky universe have no intelligence. Some of them will be tamed and join the Cataclysm battlefield. The voice of a disciple from the omniscient Forbidden Land explained from ahead. Obviously, the omniscient Forbidden Land had a lot of records about this place. In fact, the creation realm experts of their Forbidden Land had even participated in this war. The Starry Sky universe, giant beast of the Starry Sky? That's way too big. Some of the experts and disciples from the sacred grounds, Forbidden Lands, and Sacred Institute sized them up in awe. Chapter 3980. What a terrifying corpse. Even a giant beast of this level can fall. This war is really unimaginable. Just the aura of this corpse is making me shiver. Is the war of the Cataclysm really that terrifying? Huff, huff. The Cataclysm will arrive in a few billion years. I wonder what it will be like. All the experts and disciples of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land were shocked when they saw this scene. Just a corpse was enough to make them shiver. If so, how terrifying would this war be? Everyone, this is the center of the universe ruins. This space is huge, and the energy here is abundant, especially beside the corpses of some experts. In addition, some places here are also very dangerous. Be careful. Life and death are determined by fate. The barbarian saint of the ominous Forbidden Land said plainly. His voice reached everyone's ears. Disciples of the ominous Forbidden Land, follow me. The barbarian saint commanded softly as he led the disciples of the ominous Forbidden Land in a certain direction. Disciples of the flowing water Forbidden Land, follow me. Saintess Luyue of the flowing water Forbidden Land also commanded softly as she flew in a certain direction. Clearly, they all had their own targets. The experts of the two Forbidden Lands had been here before. Therefore, they were very familiar with this place. Let's go and take a look ahead, Wang Xian said. A spatial force enveloped all the disciples of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land. Wang. He led the group of disciples and flew rapidly in a certain direction. The deeper they went, the more abundant the energy became. Wang Xian's eyes were shining brightly as he watched. As he continued flying forward, a corpse that was glowing brightly floated in the air. This corpse was in the shape of a human. It was very small, but the aura it contained was still terrifying. This was also the corpse of a Pinnacle Universe Lord Realm expert. As they continued flying deeper, all sorts of corpses floated in the air. After flying for more than 10 minutes, a huge building appeared in his sight. Brother Wang, what's that? It's so huge. It looks like a war machine. Long Yinhao looked at the strange building in front of him. The building was full of holes. Clearly, it had been through a terrifying war. However, there were powerful arrays on the building. These arrays looked a little like the arrays of sorcerers, but also a little like magic arrays. The entire building was shrouded in a chaotic array formation, and it was unknown if one could enter it. I don't know. It might be a war treasure of some universe. This space is huge. It seems like we have to explore it ourselves. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and looked at the disciples of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground behind him. Yes, Big Brother Wang Xian is right. Everyone has their own opportunities. Look at the surroundings. Even the disciples of the obscene Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land are scattered. In this space, we rely on strength, but also luck. If we're careful, there won't be any danger to our lives. I think we can split up to search for information and cultivate. In here, we can use the communicators to communicate. Long Yining hesitated for a moment before opening his mouth to speak. I need to separate from you guys for a while to investigate this place. Wang Xian did not hide anything and said, you can form a team. Since the obsequious Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land have announced that fighting is not allowed. As long as you don't enter dangerous places, your lives will not be in danger. The concentration of energy here is comparable to a treasure land. You can also cultivate here and improve yourself before exploring. It's up to you. He continued to speak. All right, Holy Son Wang Xian. Our strength is very weak, and we can't be a burden to Holy Son Wang Xian. Go ahead and search for opportunities. Who knows, our roaring dragon Forbidden Ground might produce a mighty expert in the future. A disciple of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land said with a smile. As for Wang Xian wanting to explore on his own, the disciples did not have any objections. Being able to enter this place was already Wang Xian's credit. Their holy son Wang Xian had already given them a huge opportunity. They could not wait to be grateful. All right. Cultivate well. You guys are still too weak, and it's difficult to compete with the disciples of the other sacred grounds for treasures. Just walk around and try your luck. If there's danger, it's best not to enter rashly. The energy here is extremely terrifying, and any shockwave will turn you into ashes. Wang Xian reminded again, his gaze falling on Long Yining and Long Yinhao. Contact me directly if there's anything. At present, only the saint of the obsequious Forbidden Land and the saintess of the flowing water Forbidden Land are here. I'm still not a match for them. All right, Big Brother Wang Xian. You have to be careful too. My sister and I will also walk around later. Be careful, Big Brother. Long Yining and Long Yinhao said. Wang Xian nodded his head and left immediately. Wow, our holy son Wang Xian was so confident just now. Among all the saints and supreme talents, only the saint of the obsequious Forbidden Land and the saintess of the flowing water Forbidden Land are not his match. Doesn't that mean our holy son Wang Xian can be ranked third? Definitely. Our holy son Wang Xian is very low profile, but he's also very confident in his own strength. He's so cool. The disciples of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land exclaimed in awe. All right, let's walk around. This place probably isn't too big. After we're done, those who want to cultivate can cultivate, and those who want to search for opportunities can do so. Long Yining said with a smile as he watched Wang Xian's figure disappear. At the same time, Wang Xian had already arrived beside Roving Sword and the rest. Roving Sword and his subordinates floated in the void, standing respectfully beside Wang Xian. Roving Sword, bring them around. and see if they can find any opportunities. If anything happens, contact me. Wang Xian said to Roving Sword. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Sword nodded. All right, let's split up and act. Wang Xian said. He was prepared to act alone to see if he could find any treasures. There were corpses of experts here, as well as terrifying and powerful war machines. The space here wasn't very stable either. Wang Xian sensed it and felt that the space here could only support 6th-order universe sovereigns at most. In other words, if a 7th-order sovereign realm expert were to enter this space, the space around them would collapse. No one knew what the outcome of the collapse would be, but clearly, it would be extremely dangerous. No wonder this treasure land was taken out for all the supreme talents to enter. Looks like there's a reason behind it, Wang Xian murmured. Fortunately, Wang Xian's real body didn't enter this time. Wang Xian was worried that his real body would be discovered, so he didn't fuse with his real body. This decision was very correct. In this space, even if his real body came, he couldn't show himself. Moreover, he had to suppress his real body's energy. Chapter 3981. If my main body can't enter, my advantage will be reduced. Of course, it's just a little. Unlai should be able to enter. Unlai should be able to bring someone in too. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. With a jerk of his body, he continued to fly forward. He scanned his surroundings. The deeper he flew, the more war machines there were. Some of the war machines even had corpses on them. The energy of these corpses wasn't as terrifying as that of a pinnacle universe lord, but it wasn't weak either. They must have been 8th or 9th order sovereigns. With the help of the war machines, they could unleash the destructive power of a pinnacle universe lord. Wang Xian came to the side of a war machine and found that he could enter. He entered the depths of the war machine but didn't find any treasures. The war machines that can enter, even if there are treasures inside, would have been taken away by the obscene forbidden land and the flowing water forbidden land. Wang Xian muttered to himself. He moved and flew towards a war machine that looked like a spaceship. This spaceship was shrouded in energy, and there were also terrifying holes on it. After he entered from one of the holes, he found that there was an energy barrier in the depths. He used his hands to feel it, and it wasn't something he could break through. He needed to at least have the strength of a 9th order sovereign. Even if there are treasures inside, it'll be hard to get them, Wang Xian thought to himself. He reckoned that even if there were any fortuitous encounters or treasures here, they would be extremely dangerous and difficult to obtain. Otherwise, why would they leave them behind? As he thought about it, he moved and continued to investigate the surroundings. As Wang Xian continued flying forward, he was slightly taken aback when he saw a dilapidated building. This is a god nation? There's a god nation here? Looking at the huge building, Wang Xian was slightly taken aback. He was taken aback. A god nation that belonged to a 9 Origins universe expert. Wang Xian was absolutely right about this. Experts from the sword and magic universe wouldn't cultivate a god nation. Wang Xian flew over and checked the god nation. He found that it was of the water attribute. The god nation was dilapidated, but it was still sealed by energy, and he couldn't enter. This god nation doesn't have the aura of a divine dragon. It doesn't seem to belong to the divine dragon race. I wonder why a god nation would appear here. Wang Xian murmured, his face filled with doubt. He continued to search the surroundings, but did not see any more god kingdoms. There were about 50 to 60 other broken war machines and corpses. Those who could enter had no treasures. If there was an energy barrier, Wang Xian wouldn't be able to enter. It seems that I have to wait for Enlai to come before I can enter these war machines and God's kingdom. I should be able to get a good harvest there. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled with anticipation. This was like opening a blind box. What if you could find a powerful treasure? He didn't encounter any danger. Wang Xian continued flying. At this time, with his powerful perception, he sensed a powerful spatial fluctuation. His body moved, and he immediately flew over. When he flew over, he saw a pagoda floating askew in the air. There was no land in this entire space. Everything was floating in the air. The bottom gave people a dangerous feeling. That was the bottom, and there was danger. In front of them, The tip of the huge, tilted pagoda that was already upside down was inserted into the void below. It was as if he had entered another dimension. Wang Xian looked over with a curious look on his face. He moved closer and looked at where the tip was inserted. At the edge, he could vaguely sense that it was another space. However, in the short distance that it traveled, there were spatial storms. The energy of the spatial storms wasn't very strong. With Wang Xian's strength, he should be able to make it through. He looked around and sensed with his mind. Someone was here just now. It seems like he entered. In the surrounding space, Wang Xian could feel the spatial fluctuations. Obviously, someone had been here before. The saints and saintesses of Innocence Forbidden Land and Flowing Water Forbidden Land? Wang Xian murmured. He hesitated for a moment before he moved and flew inside. There were only a few decades left before he could contact Enlai again. He could go in and take a look. Even if he was trapped inside, he could get Enlai to bring him out. Wang. A powerful spatial tearing force came, and Wang Yun's spatial energy covered his body, condensing into sharp swords to defend against it. Wang. It didn't take long for him to appear in another space. When Wang Yun caught sight of this space, his body froze for a moment. This space wasn't very big and couldn't be compared to the space above. However, this space wasn't small either. Moreover, the energy in this space was much more stable than the space above. In front of him, there were more than a dozen huge pillars. These pillars seemed to be supporting the entire space. In this space, there was a building that contained spatial power similar to the Void Tower. This building was almost complete and contained a huge amount of spatial power. It does look like the Void Tower. No, this should be the Void Tower. It's similar to Enlai's Void Tower. Its aura and level should be the same. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes sparkled. Other than the Void Tower, there were more than a dozen corpses. These corpses were all trapped and killed here. Other than these, there was nothing else. To think that a Void Tower of the Void Clan would appear here. What a surprise. Moreover, this Void Tower hasn't been destroyed. It's obvious that it's being suppressed. Could it be that the Void Universe is involved in this war? Wang Xian looked around and his eyes sparkled. This should be a huge array that trapped and killed these experts. Impressive. A huge array that trapped and killed more than a dozen peak universe rulers. There's also a horrifying Void Tower. Wang Xian sighed. Wang. At this time, he sensed something and immediately looked to the right. There, he saw some figures standing in front of the huge pillars. Those are the saints and saintesses from the Flowing Water Forbidden Land of Innocence Forbidden Land. There seems to be the saints and saintesses from the Sacred Institute and Sacred Land. Wang Xian looked over and murmured. At this time, he also realized that there were saints, saintesses, and supreme talents surrounding each huge pillar. This made him curious. He hesitated for a moment and flew over. However, before he could reach it, he saw that there were many figures at the center of the gigantic pillars. Obviously, these figures had been sealed and were dead. On the pillars, there were a lot of magic symbols. These sealed and dead figures sat on a throne, each of them holding a large magic staff in their hands, their expressions filled with determination. Chapter 3982. Wang Xian's arrival attracted the attention of some saints and saintesses in this space. They looked over with sparkling eyes. It's Saint Wang Xian. A saint saw Wang Xian and said. The saintess beside him looked at Wang Xian and nodded her head. They didn't say anything. There were 12 demonic pillars here. Within each demonic pillar was a peak universe lord expert from the sword and sorcery universe. During the last cataclysm, they had used the demonic pillars to kill a group of enemies. One of the enemies even had an extremely terrifying battle machine. And within these demonic pillars, there was a vast amount of energy and understanding of magic. If one was lucky, one could even absorb the remaining mental energy of the expert. If one absorbed this mental energy in the future, it would be equivalent to obtaining a terrifying inheritance. It depended on the amount of mental energy absorbed. If there was a lot, it would be even more terrifying than a magic inheritance. In addition, if one could enter the interior of the demonic pillar, one could also obtain the treasures of the expert. The magic staff in one's hand, the magic robe on one's body, and the treasures in the spatial items. But it wasn't so easy to enter the interior of the demonic pillar. One had to gain the recognition of some energy and mental energy within. In addition, to enter this space, one had to first pass through the space channel. Only those who had reached the Third Order Universe Lord Realm could enter. Of course, those with powerful defensive treasures could also enter. For example, there were 20 to 30 disciples in the Innocence Forbidden Land and Flowing Water Forbidden Land. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings and sensed the place. The power of space here is very stable. Even if I enter with my own body, it won't collapse. He sensed, and his eyes sparkled. He moved and came to the front of a demonic pillar. There were 12 demonic pillars of various attributes. There was even one with spatial attributes. When Wang Xian arrived, 4 figures were kneeling in front of the demonic pillar. He looked at the 4 figures and knew that they were the saints and saintesses of the Forbidden Land. The saints and saintesses of the Forbidden Land also sensed Wang Xian's arrival and looked at him. "This is a senior from our Forbidden Land, Saint Wang Xian. I hope you won't be rude." Saint Su and I looked at Wang Xian and said plainly, "Of course." Wang Xian nodded his head. He came to the front of the demonic pillar and felt it with his hands. The entire magic pillar should be part of a huge magic array. The demonic pillar still contained boundless energy. These demonic pillars seemed to be able to actively absorb the energy of the world. Because of these demonic pillars, the energy in this space was much denser than in the previous space. Buzz. Wang Xian injected some space energy into it. In an instant, waves of killing intent rushed into his mind. His expression changed slightly, and then he felt the scene in front of him change. A vast murderous aura, a vast battlefield, and a terrifying battle surged into his mind. This vast murderous aura could even destroy his brain and soul. You're courting death. How dare you inject your energy into the demonic pillar? Once your energy enters the demonic pillar, the energy and will of the demonic pillar will directly rush into your mind and destroy everything and your life force. When the saintess of the forbidden space saw Wang Xian injecting energy into it, she was taken aback, following which, she revealed a mocking expression. "Saintess, he seems to be under the impact of the willpower of the energy. He's doomed. It'll be interesting if Wang Xian dies here. After all, he came from a small place and doesn't know anything about the universe ruins. Under such circumstances, acting rashly will cost him his life." When the other supreme talents of the forbidden space saw this, they were also taken aback. They shook their heads and commented with a tinge of mockery and sympathy. "Although it's safer here, there are many hidden dangers. Wang Xian is going to be crushed by the willpower of the demonic pillar." Saint Su and I from the forbidden space also shook his head and said, The commotion here also attracted the attention of the other saints and saintesses beside the demonic pillars. They turned to look at Zhang Xian with astonishment on their faces. "It can't be. Wang Xian is using his energy to touch the demonic pillar? He's doomed? This? If he dies directly, he'll be the most pitiful saint. To die to the demonic pillar the moment he arrived here?" Some of the saints, saintesses, and supreme talents commented with disbelief. At this moment, Wang Xian indeed felt a vast killing intent surging towards him. At the same time, an image of a battlefield appeared in his mind. In the image, he seemed to have become a powerful space cultivator. Around him, there were 11 existences at the same level as him. With a shake of their bodies, a demonic pillar soared into the sky. The 12 of them moved. In an instant, they flew towards the enemies in front of them. In the middle of this group of enemies, there was a humongous space war machine and an eerie mountain peak filled with deathly stillness. There were also a dozen Pinnacle Universe Lord Realm experts. They rushed over, and a terrifying battle broke out. Using the power of the magical array, they destroyed the eerie mountain peak. They destroyed the Pinnacle Universe Lord Realm experts one after another. Only the space war machine was not destroyed. However, the space war machine was completely suppressed by them. Within the space war machine, 2 experts with terrifying space power rushed out and tried to open a path. At this moment, Wang Xian saw himself waving the magic scepter in his hand. The entire space was shrouded. The surrounding space collapsed and ruptured, and they directly entered a new space. Roars, sounds of battle, terrifying killing intent filled the entire space. In the end, the two space attribute experts were killed by them. However, the 12 of them had also expended all their vitality. They looked at each other. A throne appeared behind them, and they sat on it. Death, death. However, that invincible aura, that terrifying murderous intent, still surged in this space. It was a very heroic battle. Wong 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 Wong. Under this willpower, Wang Xian was like a small boat. However, his body shook as he used his powerful will and mental power to resist the attack. He kept his mind clear. All the killing intent had no effect on him. Wang Xian stood there quietly for a long time. It had been more than 10 days. He slowly opened his eyes and revealed a faint smile. He did not expect a casual touch to reap such rewards. Chapter 3983. A Pleasant Surprise. Wang Xian injected his energy into the demonic pillar and obtained the impact of the will of the expert within the demonic pillar. He entered his battle perspective and survived the entire process. This gave him a huge advantage. He had obtained the acknowledgement of the expert's corpse. The defensive force around the demonic pillar had dissipated. Since he could enter the interior of the demonic pillar, he could naturally obtain everything from the expert. Such an unexpected opportunity was a huge surprise for Wang Xian. You're fine? At the side, the 4 disciples of the Forbidden Void were shocked when they saw Wang Xian opening his eyes and seeing that his eyes were clear. Why is this happening? Not only am I fine, but I can also obtain great benefits. Wang Xian smiled. With a swift move, he flew directly towards the corpse of the expert in the demonic pillar. Swish! He came to the side of the expert's corpse easily and bowed to it. Senior brother, the defensive force outside the demonic pillar has disappeared. We can enter the interior of the demonic pillar now. The Saintess of the Forbidden Void was shocked when she saw Wang Xian coming to the front of the expert's corpse. He hurriedly shouted loudly. Swish! The Holy Son of Suni's expression changed drastically. His body moved, and he instantly flew up. Wang Xian frowned when he heard the exclamations below and sensed the Saint of Void Rebellion flying over. He waved his arm and kept the expert's corpse and all his belongings. How dare you? Put down the corpse of our senior from the Forbidden Void Rebellion. The Saint of Void Rebellion was dumbfounded when he saw this. He hurriedly shouted loudly. In the beginning, when they saw Wang Xian's arm on the demonic pillar, they thought he had died from the impact of the willpower within the demonic pillar. Unexpectedly, not only did he not die, but the willpower protecting the demonic pillar had also disappeared. He could enter the demonic pillar directly. Seeing the corpse of the expert being taken away and all the treasures of the expert being in Wang Xian's hands, his expression changed drastically and he shouted loudly, "What's going on?" The commotion here also caused the other holy sons and holy daughters to look over in astonishment. When they saw Wang Xian was not dead and had entered the interior of the demonic pillar, they were also shocked. Holy Son of the Forbidden Space Zone, this deceased senior has already acknowledged me. Everything he had will naturally be inherited by me, said Wang Xian plainly when he saw Saint Su and I flying over. Impudent. This is the corpse of a senior from our spatial forbidden zone. Return it to us immediately. Saint Suni's expression changed drastically. His eyes hardened as he shouted at Wang Xian. He, Holy Son Su and I, according to the information I've gathered, your forbidden space zone was only established during this eon. During the last eon, there was no forbidden space zone at all. You're saying that these are the corpses of the experts of your forbidden space zone? That's a bit too much. Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian replied plainly. From this expert's one-sided memory, he also knew that this expert was not an expert from the forbidden space. There was no such force in the last cataclysm. Our forbidden space zone was founded by spatial experts during the last cataclysm, and this expert is a partner of the experts in our forbidden space zone. Naturally, he's also an expert of our forbidden space zone. Holy Son Wang Xian, please give our forbidden space zone some face and return this corpse to us. The saintess of the forbidden space zone flew over from behind and spoke plainly to Wang Xian. I can return the corpse to you. However, there are fragmented memories and soul fragments around the corpse. I'll naturally return it to you after I absorb them, said Wang Xian. Perhaps because of the magical array, the corpse of this expert still had some soul memories after his death. These were fragmented memory fragments. These were the things that were etched deeply into this expert's memory. And the most profound memories were naturally cultivation. After absorbing them, it would indeed bring great benefits to Wang Xian. As for the corpse, it didn't contain much energy now. Therefore, it didn't matter if he returned it to the Forbidden Space Zone. Impudent. The corpses of our seniors from the Forbidden Space Zone are not to be desecrated. Return the corpse to us immediately. Upon hearing this, Saint Suni's expression changed again as he shouted. He, Saint Su and I, knew what this corpse represented and what it meant. When Wang Xian heard his words again, he frowned slightly and his eyes turned cold. Who are you calling impudent? You'd better watch your words and not seek humiliation. A corpse from the previous eons. How dare the Forbidden Space Zone shamelessly claim that it's a senior from your Forbidden Space Zone? You want me to return it to you? Aren't you guys some idiots? You want me to return the complete corpse to you and give you all the treasures and weapons on it? Wang Xian stared at them and spoke with a sarcastic tone. His disdain and coldness weren't concealed at all. Previously, he had already given face to the Forbidden Space Zone. Now, they were still asking for more? Let's go. Let's go. That Saint Wang Xian actually obtained a corpse and treasures from a demonic pillar. This is too fast. Didn't he just arrive? The Forbidden Space Zone actually had a conflict with him. TSK. It seems like the Forbidden Space Zone wants to snatch the corpse away. However, that Saint Wang Xian isn't giving them any face. That Saint Wang Xian is really something. In the past, we sent countless experts and disciples into this place, but none of them could obtain the corpses in the demonic pillars. Yet, he obtained them directly. It seems like he has some way to get over there. All the saints, saintesses, and supreme talents in the entire space saw the situation and flew over immediately. They sized up Wang Xian with flickering eyes. You, Saint Su and I, Saintess, and the other two disciples of the Forbidden Space Zone were shocked when they heard Wang Xian's words. They stared coldly at Wang Xian, their eyes filled with malice. Everyone, don't forget the rules. Anyone who dares to violate the rules will be killed immediately. The saint of the unbarbaric tribe from the Forbidden Space flew over and warned Wang Xian and the saints and saintesses of the Forbidden Space Zone. Wang Xian looked over, smiled faintly, shrugged his shoulders, and said nothing. Saint Su and I stared at Wang Xian, his face filled with indignation. To all the disciples in the core of the universe ruins, the greatest opportunity was these 12 demonic pillars. Because these experts were sealed and died in the demonic pillars, their souls and wills wouldn't dissipate. If they could absorb it bit by bit, they would be able to obtain a terrifying inheritance. If they could obtain this corpse, they would be able to obtain all the inheritance of a pinnacle universe lord, a space expert. It was much stronger than the top-notch magic alms bowl. End of chapter. Chapter 3984. The Saints, Saintesses, and other experts of the Forbidden Space area stared at Wang Xian with grim expressions. The 12 demonic pillars belonged to experts with spatial attributes. The treasures within the demonic pillars were obtained by Wang Xian. This also meant that the Forbidden Space area was not fated to have the opportunity to obtain the demonic pillar. Even the opportunity to absorb some scattered soul fragments was gone. This caused them to be filled with unwillingness. Saint Wang Xian, can you tell us how you obtained the recognition of the corpse in the demonic pillar? The barbarian saint looked at Wang Xian and asked with flickering eyes. All of them were shocked that Wang Xian had obtained the recognition of the corpse in the demonic pillar. At the same time, their hearts were burning with passion. If they could obtain the recognition of the corpse in the demonic pillar, given their talents, they would definitely reach the pinnacle of the universe lord realm. I don't know the specifics. When I injected energy into the demonic pillar just now, I was attacked by the will of the demonic pillar. Scenes of the expert's death flashed in my mind. I withstood the invasion and destruction of this terrifying will and obtained the recognition of the corpse in the demonic pillar. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment, but did not hide anything. He told them directly. There was no need for them to hide this. It would be extremely difficult to withstand the impact of the will in the demonic pillar. In fact, if Wang Xian did not possess the will and mental strength of his original body, he would have lost his life under the mental impact. This kind of will impact was not something they could withstand. Withstand the impact of the will? The barbarian saint's expression changed slightly when he heard Wang Xian's words. He looked solemn. They had been warned by their seniors to be careful of the will impact of the demonic pillar. This was not something they could withstand. In the past, some of their disciples who had just explored the Forbidden Land had died under the impact of the will. In the past, those who could enter this place were not much weaker than the barbarian saint. The saintess of the flowing water, Forbidden Land, also frowned slightly when she heard this. Withstanding the impact of the will of the corpse in the demonic pillar and watching the scene before his death in his memory, this should be the case. But it is extremely difficult to withstand the impact of the will. The saintess of the unforgiving Forbidden Land said with a frown. Furthermore, I'm afraid that it would require an expert of the same attribute to withstand the impact of the will. Otherwise, it would be useless. The barbarian saint added with an unpleasant expression. It was too difficult to obtain the corpse within the demonic pillar. Saint Wang Xian, do you have any way to withstand the impact of this will? The saintess of the flowing water, Forbidden Land, couldn't help but ask. No, I don't have any treasure that can block this will. It's all because of my good luck, said Wang Xian plainly. Thank you. The barbarian saint and the rest nodded and cupped their fists at Wang Xian. They also knew about Wang Xian's situation. They didn't see what treasure he used to block the attack. This was purely a strong willpower, resisting the terrifying impact of the will. The people from the flowing water Forbidden Land and the thoughtful Forbidden Land moved and once again came before the demonic pillars, thinking about how to withstand the impact of the wills, how to obtain the recognition of the expert's corpse. The other saints' sons and saintesses of the Forbidden Lands also left. This Saint Wang Xian is really lucky. He obtained the corpse of the expert with the space attribute. In the future, he will definitely step into the pinnacle of the universe dominator realm. In the future, he will definitely be a top-notch expert of our continent. Yeah, who would have thought that he would obtain such a terrifying opportunity just now? This is too heaven-defying. The saints and saintesses of the spatial Forbidden Land seem very indignant. They seem to have clashed, but Wang Xian doesn't care about them at all. As long as Wang Xian doesn't die in the future, he will definitely be one of the top-notch experts of our sword and sorcery universe. This luck is too strong. However, the spatial Forbidden Land is a little unlucky this time. Without the spatial demonic pillar, they will definitely miss out on the greatest opportunity. The saints and saintesses of the Sacred Institute of the Sacred Grounds discussed softly. As for the minor conflict between Wang Xian and the saints of the spatial Forbidden Land, they were only discussing it briefly. In this universe ruin, with the rules of the thoughtful Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land, no one dared to kill each other here. Moreover, given the strength of the saints and saintesses of the spatial Forbidden Land, they might not be a match for Wang Xian. Although Wang Xian's ranking was one rank lower than Saint Suanai of the spatial Forbidden Land, everyone knew that he had concealed his strength. Wang Xian had now become the biggest winner among all the saints, saintesses, and supreme talents. This made many saints, saintesses, and supreme talents envious. Seeing the group of saints and saintesses leaving, Wang Xian swept his gaze across the four people of the spatial Forbidden Land. With a move, he flew towards the center of the demonic pillars. There was another treasure in that place. It was the Void Pagoda, a void pagoda that was on the same level as Enlai's. Such a void pagoda should only be owned by Pinnacle Universe Lord Realm experts of the Void Clan. Moreover, it seemed like only a few Pinnacle Universe Lord Realm experts of the Void Clan could own one. It was incomparably powerful and equally precious. According to the image he had just obtained, the other extremely powerful war machine had been destroyed by the 12 demonic pillars. Only this void pagoda was not destroyed. Wang Xian flew over and sized up the entire void pagoda with flickering eyes. However, the void pagoda had been sealed, and there was no way to enter it. Let's wait for Enlai to arrive. I've already reaped a huge harvest this time. Wang Xian squinted his eyes slightly. He had unexpectedly obtained the corpse of an expert. Moreover, there was his will inheritance on it. This could deepen his understanding of the power of space. It would also speed up his improvement in the future. He looked around and sat on the ground with his legs crossed. A gust of energy wrapped around him. At the same time, the corpse appeared in front of him. Because of the special seal, the corpse still contained a terrifying amount of energy. Wang Xian began to cultivate quietly. The energy in the universe ruins and the power of space emitted by the corpse had greatly increased his improvement speed. It was much faster than when he was in the moon pagoda. Wang. Thousands of years passed quickly, and Wang Xian opened his eyes. Today was the appointed day with Enlai. I'll summon Enlai and then enter this void pagoda. Other than that, I can also enter other war machines and even that holy kingdom. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. Chapter 3985. Wang. A devil spirit altar appeared in front of him as Wang Xian waited patiently. Dragon King. Soon, Enlai appeared and bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. Is everything normal in the Dragon Palace? Wang Xian asked. Dragon King, everything is normal in the Dragon Palace. Enlai nodded, following which, he focused his gaze and looked to the side. Dragon King, is this the Void Tower? As he spoke, he was slightly shocked and his eyes lit up. Yes, the Void Tower. A powerful Void Tower. Enlai, bring my real body over first before we enter the Void Tower. Wang Xian nodded and continued to instruct him. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded and soon, he disappeared. When Enlai reappeared, Wang Xian's real body followed him. Wang Xian fused with him and the powerful energy merged again. His eyes swept around and a smile appeared on his face. This space was much more stable than the previous one. However, if he were to launch an attack, he would still be able to blast this space apart. But this was enough. If Wang Xian appeared in the previous space, this space wouldn't be able to withstand it. At least this space could withstand it. Enlai, bring me in. Wang Xian looked at the Void Tower and said. Even if his real body looked at the Void Tower, he could still sense the powerful energy and power from it. This Void Tower wasn't simple. It was much stronger than inborn cardinal treasures. It was only slightly weaker than the creation fragment of Heaven Yuan. This was already terrifying. Soon, Wang Xian moved and entered the interior of the Void Pagoda. It was exactly the same as the interior of Enlai's Void Tower. Similarly, there was a throne at the highest position. That was the energy that controlled the mechanisms here. Wang Xian looked around. Compared to the Void Tower that Enlai had obtained, there were many corpses in this Void Tower. There were at least hundreds of thousands of corpses. These corpses had 2 horns and carried a trace of space energy. They looked similar to humans, but their faces were completely different. Their skin was varied and some were dark. Their thick skin was like a layer of armor. Wang Xian looked around in surprise. He came to the front of a corpse and tried to sense it. This should be the Void Clan of the Void Universe, a very terrifying clan. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. These corpses should have been killed by the impact of external energy. Of course, it was also possible that they were trapped here to death. They had been here for more than 20 billion years. As for existences below the realm of fortune, their lifespan was at most 1 eon. That was a lifespan of more than 30 billion years. From the moment they were born, the Void race had definitely surpassed the limits of life. Wang Xian examined the corpses. Many of the corpses had treasures on them. The weapon looked like a sword, but it was slightly different. There was a sawtooth on it. Of course, this thing could also be used as a sword. There are many treasures here. Wang Xian revealed an excited look as he kept the sharp swords. Some of the swords were comparable to Khanate cardinal treasures. There were dozens of these swords. This was definitely a huge income. Apart from weapons, there are no other resources. Wang Xian checked and did not find any elixir pills. Perhaps it had been too long and the elixir pills had evaporated. In a flash, he arrived at the seat of the throne. He sat on it and injected the power of space into it. However, Wang Xian was shocked that he could not activate this void pagoda. What's going on? This void pagoda is already ownerless and I can't activate it? I can't refine it into my own treasure? Wang Xian was shocked. Energy was injected into it, but there was still no reaction. What's the reason? Special bloodline and physique? Wang Xian frowned slightly and looked to Enlai. Enlai, give it a try. Wang Xian sat on the throne and injected energy. Immediately, energy gushed into it, and the entire void pagoda reacted. Enlai can do it, but I can't. Is it because Enlai's physique is similar to that of the Void Clan? Wang Xian guessed when he saw this scene. Some clans had their own unique weapons. Other than the experts of their own clans, other experts could not control them. This was not impossible. This was the case for this Void Pagoda. Even if Wang Xian obtained an ownerless Void Pagoda, he could not control it. This caused him to be filled with disappointment. The power of the Void Pagoda was undeniable, but it was a pity that he could not control it. Dragon King, to control this Void Pagoda, you might need a special physique. My physique is similar to that of the Void Clan. That's why I can refine it. Enlai answered, besides, Dragon King, this Void Pagoda is already ownerless. I found a living space in this Void Pagoda. I'll open it for you. Buzz buzz. As he spoke, a space appeared directly behind him. It was a huge space with a place to rest and a place to live. There was also a place to plant spiritual herbs and treasures. Huh, there are treasures in this Void Pagoda? Wang Xian was taken aback and flew over immediately. Yes, Dragon King. The Void Pagoda is like the nest of a clan. It's just like the Zerg clan, which has their own nest. Based on your humble servant's understanding, the Void race is divided into many clans. They are not completely unified. Many small clans of the Void race fight for themselves. The Void Tower is divided into two types. This is the nest of those small clans. It's their survival base. The experts and disciples of the Void clan born in this survival base constantly build and strengthen this Void Pagoda. The second type of Void Pagoda is a weapon that belongs to the top experts. Just like the Void Pagoda that I have now. That's a weapon used by the real Void Clan royalty to go on expeditions and not for survival. Enlai explained to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head. The Void Clan royalty. The royalty did not say that they had complete control over all the experts and disciples of the Void Clan. There were still some clans that fought for themselves. When the Cataclysm War began, they would plunder resources and treasures. This Void Pagoda should belong to one of the clans in the Void universe. They targeted the Sword and Sorcery universe and wanted to obtain the spatial treasures here. But they were left here. No wonder this Void Pagoda is slightly different from yours. But the level should be similar. Wang Xian murmured as he stared at the space in front of him. Chapter 3986. Swoosh. Wang Xian moved and immediately flew towards the space of the Void Pagoda. As a place for the survival of a tribe, there was a living space here. There was a space inside, and this space was very big. Wang Xian flew over and scanned the surroundings. Finally, his eyes fell on the space in front of him. It should be the place where the divine grass and divine wood were planted. However, it looked a little deserted at this moment. The divine grass and divine wood had a lifespan even if they had not reached the heavenly Yuan creation realm. Time had already worn away everything here. However, when Wang Xian came to the center of this space, his eyes glowed. In the middle of the area, there was a stretch of divine wood. This divine wood was very strange. It looked a little illusory, just like a mirror. It hasn't been worn away by time. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes glowed. Yi Futian looked at the bottom of the divine trees again. There were fruits falling to the ground. The energy contained in some of the fruits had decreased a little. This is the growth of the divine wood. No one took away the fruits, so the fruits fell. The fruits germinated again and grew into divine wood. Looking at this scene, Wang Xian understood why these divine trees did not disappear with the passage of time. This was a cycle. In the past, when the divine wood grew, the fruits would fall. and the fruits would grow into divine wood. This was also the reason why the divine wood still existed. He looked around. There weren't many divine wood, but there were still a few hundred of them. Every one of them contained a huge amount of energy. This divine would belong to the 8th Order Universe Lord Realm. Wang Xian looked at the fruits on the top and plucked one to sense it. Spatial attribute fruits were still very useful to Wang Xian. He scanned his surroundings and discovered that there was a treasure vault in the deepest part of this place. This should be the treasure vault of this void tribe. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with anticipation as he came to the front of the treasure vault. The treasure vault opened under Enlai's control. When he entered, all kinds of energy rushed over. In the treasure vault, there was not only spatial attribute energy, but also energy of other attributes. At the center of the entrance, there was the head of a powerful divine beast. The entire head was sealed in a transparent solid. This should belong to the decoration. However, this divine beast's head gave off a great sense of majesty. Wang Xian sized him up. This was the head of a god beast that was at least at the peak of the universe ruler realm, yet it was hunted down by the void race, leaving its head behind. Looking inside, there were some weapons. There were also many treasures that had lost their energy. Especially those treasure bottles. It was obvious that they were used to store some pills and other treasures. He swept his gaze across them one by one. Apart from the weapons, many of the other treasures had lost their energy. There were more than a dozen spatial weapons comparable to Khanate cardinal treasures. This void race is not weak, Wang Xian thought to himself. However, according to the images in his mind, the 12 demonic pillars were even more terrifying and powerful. Even if Wang Xian were to rely on the 2 heavenly Yuan creation treasures, he wouldn't last more than a few minutes in there. Of course, if Wang Xian could improve further, it would be hard to say. Wang Xian opened the porcelain bottles one by one and looked inside. After opening more than a dozen of them, he didn't find anything. Buzz. With a wave of his arm, all the porcelain bottles in the treasury were opened. There were more than 200 of them. Buzz. At this time, Wang Xian felt a surge of energy coming from the few porcelain bottles in the middle. He looked over immediately. What a rich life force. With a wave of his arm, 3 porcelain bottles flew into his hands. He opened them and found some liquids stored in them. For some unknown reason, these liquids had not disappeared even after the passage of time. Perhaps it wasn't because of the medicine. Wang Xian sensed it, and his eyes lit up. These liquids were filled with vitality and belonged to the wood attribute. The energy was terrifying. Although these porcelain bottles were only the size of a palm, the space inside was more than a dozen square meters. The energy contained in these 3 porcelain bottles was terrifying. This should be enough to increase the strength of my main body. Wang Xian's eyes were burning with passion. The harvest this time was simply too great. His eyes were filled with excitement. After keeping these resources, Wang Xian looked around and didn't find any other resources. These wood attribute liquids can be absorbed by my main body. The Void Divine Dragon body can absorb the spatial attribute Divine Wood. Wang Xian murmured. Enlai. His mind flickered as he shouted at Enlai. Enlai flew over immediately. Dragon King. He bowed respectfully. Let's go to the other places first. His figure moved, leaving his main body here as he instructed Enlai. Enlai nodded and brought him out immediately. Conceal yourself, Wang Xian said to him before flying to the entrance of this space. He looked at the space above him and flew up. After passing through this space vortex, he returned to the unstable space above. It's Saint Wang Xian from the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground. He came from below. Seems like he can really go down. But given our strength, I'm afraid it might be dangerous. What's the space below? When he came out, he noticed many saints, saintesses, and supreme talents from the Sacred Institute of the other saints around. When they saw Wang Xian flying out, their faces were filled with shock. Saint Wang Xian, what's that space? Can you tell us? A saintess couldn't help but ask Wang Xian. It's a space that contains more energy. There are some great opportunities in it. But without the strength of a Third Order Universe Lord, don't even think about entering it. Wang Xian swept a glance at them. Without hiding anything, He spoke directly. "Thank you, Saint Wang Xian." The saintess thanked him immediately. She looked at the entrance of that space with passion. Wang Xian didn't reply and continued flying forward. A space that contains more energy contains great opportunities. The rest of the saints, saintesses, and supreme talents also looked inside with passion. Saint Wang Xian shouldn't be lying to us. Those powerful saints, saintesses, and supreme talents don't seem to be in this space anymore. However, only third-order universe sovereigns and above can enter. They looked at the entrance with helplessness. Chapter 3987. After speaking to the group of saints, saintesses, and heavenly talents, Wang Xian left. His first target was a god nation of a universe lord. It should be an expert from the Nine Origins universe who had joined this war for some unknown reason. Although the god nation was sealed, it still contained energy. Wang Xian flew over with Enlai and entered easily. A god nation from the previous cataclysm is really rare. Wang Xian entered and scanned the surroundings. His figure moved, and he immediately searched the surroundings. He found a pool filled with energy. This pool contained a vast amount of water-attributed energy. This water energy was enough to increase Wang Xian's dragon energy by a lot. Other than this, he didn't find any other resources. I can call Aosia and the rest over to devour this god nation slowly. After all, this is the god nation of a pinnacle universe lord. Wang Xian murmured. However, given Aosia and the rest's strength, it would take too long for them to devour this god nation completely. Moreover, if the level was too high, they might not be able to devour it. Enlai, bring Aosia and the rest over. If they can devour it, it will be a great opportunity for them. Wang Xian said. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded and disappeared immediately. Soon, Enlai arrived with Aosia. Greetings, Dragon King. Aosia greeted Wang Xian respectfully when he saw him. Let's see if this god nation can be devoured. Wang Xian said to him. It's the Dragon King. Dragon King. The level of this god nation is so high. Aosia looked around with a fiery look in his eyes. Yes, Pinnacle Universe Lord. You stay here first. Let's go to other places. Wang Xian said. He and Enlai went to other war machines. There were more than 10 places that they couldn't enter. However, with Enlai, they could enter easily. They came to the war machines. Unfortunately, Wang Xian didn't find any other resources. There were many divine stones of various attributes. However, Wang Xian couldn't devour them to increase his strength. Other than divine stones, there were various metals. These metals were of great use to the 5 elements grindstone and Tai Chi dragon board. War machines were used for war, so it was normal for them to not have resources such as elixirs and spiritual herbs. However, the harvest was still huge. This Heaven's Tower is really powerful. It's a very powerful war machine. Give the blueprint to Firehammer Dragon and Witch Dragon. Let them study it with Lin Wanluo and see if they can build the Heaven's Tower. Wang Xian said to Enlai. The Heaven's Tower was a war machine. Wang Xian happened to find a blueprint of the Heaven's Tower here. A war machine of this level could kill a peak universe ruler realm existence. It was also a great killing weapon that could move unhindered across the universe. In the past, the Divine Dragon race was not adept at using weapons. However, due to the combination of the Divine Dragon race and the Insectoid race's technology, the Divine Dragon race's technology had improved greatly. The new dragon species that were born all had different directions. If they could build a powerful sky tower, it would be a huge boost to the strength of the Dragon Palace. It's Dragon King. Enlai nodded. After looting all the war machines that could not be entered, Wang Xian returned to the Heavenly Kingdom. Seeing Roving Crab and the group of devouring dragons devouring, he nodded slightly. As long as they could devour, Roving Crab and the rest could improve rapidly. It's time for me to improve myself. It's been a long time since I improved my strength. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. He got Enlai to bring him to the Void Tower, where Wang Xian's main body was sitting cross-legged. Upgrade. He revealed a faint smile. With a move, he immediately transformed into the 9-source universe. Roar. Roar. Wang Xian let out a deep roar. Large amounts of resources appeared in front of him. Void Divine Dragon Body. I'll start cultivating too. The body of the Void Divine Dragon sat cross-legged at the side, took out the expert's corpse, and cultivated quietly. In the remaining time, Wang Xian began to improve his strength. The resources he had obtained this time were enough for him to upgrade to another level. As time passed, the energy in Wang Xian's body was also increasing rapidly. Boom, boom, boom. Ka, ka, ka. After more than 10,000 years, a vast amount of energy gushed out from Wang Xian's dragon body. 9 types of attributes radiated dazzling lights around him. Sacred and majestic, vast amounts of energy gushed out from Wang Xian's body. No matter which universe this energy was in, it would definitely be a top-notch existence. The strength of a universe lord. Ding. Congratulations on leveling up to 5th Order Universe Lord. Ding. Congratulations on leveling up to 5th Order Universe Lord. The system's voice sounded. Wang Xian opened his eyes and revealed a tinge of excitement. His mind moved. Name: Wang Xian. Race: 9 Origins Divine Dragon, Human Dragon Unification. Level: 5th Order Universe Lord. 9 changes to 1. Source: 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough. Superpower: dominate the marine animals, rule all marine animals lower than your own level, devour living things to extract source. 5 elements control art of cultivation. Divine Dragon Transformation Superpowers: soul assimilation, spiritual attachment law of superpowers, Dragon Eye Lock. 5 elements. Dragon Claw, Yin Yang World Breaker, 8 Luminaries Dragon Scale, Saint Dragon Shadow, 8 Divisions of Heavenly Dragon, Dragon Tomb, Soaring Cloud Dragon, True Dragon Body Law of Dharma, 8 Direction Dragon Pillar, 8 Dragons Doppelgangers, Towering Dragon Horns, Mighty Heavenly Dragon, Godly Tail Playing with Pearls, Dragon Breath of Life, Shadow Dragon Doppelganger, Netherworld Dragon Pursuit, Netherworld Dragon Conversion, Thunderstorm Dragon Life, Berserk Dragon Star Explosion. Territory: 9 Origins Dragon Domain Law of Mastery, Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Darkness, Wind, Thunder Deity Nation, Dragon Palace Possession of Dragon Palace. Inborn Dragon Palace Members: 8060450 inch. I've finally broken through. It's been tens of millions of years, almost hundreds of millions of years. I've finally broken through. Wang Xian looked at his own attributes and revealed a smile. His realm had risen to 5th Order Universe Lord Realm. With his 9 attributes, and without the help of any treasures, he would be able to fight against a Universe Lord Realm expert. If he could use the Heaven Yuan Fortune Shard, it would be even more terrifying. Wang Xian felt the strength in his body and revealed a smile. The strength of his body was the foundation of everything. At present, with his strength and trump cards, no one in the entire sword and sorcery universe, except for the 2 Heaven Yuan Fortune Shard existences, could be his match. Of course, he still had to keep a low profile. Once he was targeted by the Heaven Yuan Fortune Shard, Wang Xian would still be killed instantly. Next, I'll upgrade the 5 Elements Grindstone and Tai Chi Dragon Board. The metal and some weapons I obtained this time should be able to upgrade them a little, Wang Xian thought to himself. Although it was not enough to upgrade the 5 Elements Grindstone and Tai Chi Dragon Board directly, it could increase their accumulation. Big Brother Wang Xian, can we enter? Long Yining spoke. Yes, I've obtained some opportunities inside, and my strength has increased. Because of the spatial attribute, it's enough to bring you inside, said Wang Xian. He could indeed bring them to the 2nd floor. To enter the 2nd level, they needed to pass through the spatial storm. Before breaking through, he could not bring anyone over, but after breaking through, it was enough. No way, Big Brother. You broke through again? Long Yinhao's incredulous voice rang out. Let's go. Wang Xian smiled. With a wave of his arm, a wave of energy shrouded them and brought them forward. Our holy son Wang Xian broke through again. Isn't this too fast? How long has it been? And yet, he broke through so quickly. Yeah, this is too terrifying. Now that our holy son Wang Xian has the strength of a 4th Order Universe Sovereign, doesn't that mean he's comparable to the barbarian son of Innocence Forbidden Land and the flowing water forbidden lands Luyu Saintus? His strength is comparable. This holy son Wang Xian is too strong. In the future, he will definitely become a top-notch expert in our universe. When the group of Dragon Roar Forbidden Land disciples heard Wang Xian's words, they were all shocked. The current holy son Wang Xian is already a very powerful expert. In our Dragon Roar Forbidden Land, he's only slightly weaker than the deacon. But how long has our holy son Wang Xian been cultivating? Moreover, we can stay here for 100 million years. In the remaining tens of millions of years, it shouldn't be a problem for holy son Wang Xian to raise his cultivation level. This is really heaven-defying. A disciple of Dragon Roar Forbidden Land exclaimed. They looked at Wang Xian with undisguised admiration and respect. At the side, Long Yining looked at Wang Xian with the same admiration and a tinge of pride. Wang Xian brought them to the entrance, where a wave of space power enveloped them. He led them directly to the second level. The space storm was completely blocked by Wang Xian, and he successfully brought them in. What? That holy son Wang Xian actually brought all the disciples of Dragon Roar Forbidden Land into the second level? This? What kind of strength does he have? Or does he have some powerful treasures? How could he bring 20 disciples who haven't even reached the sovereign realm in? Damn, isn't that holy son Wang Xian too demon-like? Isn't he too sick? The luck of this Dragon Roar Forbidden Land is too good. When the holy sons and saints of the Sacred Institute saw Wang Xian bringing people in, they were all shocked. At the same time, they were also envious of the disciples of Dragon Roar Forbidden Land. Wow, we're really in. The energy in the second level is so dense. What's that ahead? To think there are such huge demonic pillars. There must be quite a number of people here. Long Yinhao, Long Yining, and the rest entered and looked around in awe. Let's go. I'll bring you to the demonic pillars to cultivate. These demonic pillars have the corpses of top-notch experts sealed in them. Cultivating around the demonic pillars will be beneficial. Wang Xian said to them with a smile as he swept his gaze across the demonic pillars. 12 demonic pillars. In the entire sword and sorcery universe, there were only 10 attributes. The 2 extra demonic pillars were of the water attribute. In other words, there were 3 water attribute demonic pillars here. The Dragon Roar Forbidden Land cultivated the water attribute. He brought Long Yining, Long Yinhao, and the rest towards a water attribute demonic pillar. The group of them looked around curiously. They came to a water attribute demonic pillar. Around it, there were disciples of flowing water, forbidden land cultivating. When they saw Wang Xian bringing the disciples of Dragon Roar Forbidden Land here, they were slightly surprised. However, they didn't say anything. After all, out of the 12 demonic pillars, only Wang Xian had absorbed a space attribute demonic pillar and obtained all the inheritances and treasures. Other than Wang Xian, no one had succeeded, including their Saintess Luyue. Chapter 3989. All the experts here are from the flowing water Forbidden Land. Yes, they should have arrived here long ago. When the disciples of the Roaring Dragon Forbidden Land saw the disciples of the Flowing Water Forbidden Land, they revealed fearful expressions and transmitted their voices softly. He was afraid of this match. The Roaring Dragon Forbidden Land's strength was ranked in the 90s in the entire universe. As for the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land, it could be ranked second. It could be said that any top-notch expert from the Roar of Dragon Forbidden Land could destroy the Roar of Dragon Forbidden Land. In addition, the Roaring Dragon Forbidden Land's disciples were all at the ruler level. Other than Long Yining and Long Yinhao, who had reached the peak of the universe Venerable Realm, the rest were merely at the 7th or 8th level. There was even a young one who was at the 5th level of the universe Venerable Realm. The disciples of the Flowing Water Forbidden Land did not say anything about the arrival of Wang Xian and his group. Yinhao, cultivate here. If you're lucky, you'll be able to absorb the soul fragments of the experts here. Your luck is pretty good, and it might even be comparable to obtaining some sword and magic inheritances, said Wang Xian to them. Thank you, Brother Wang Xian. Long Yining nodded heavily, a happy expression on his face. Brother Wang Xian. Just then, a voice sounded from not too far away. Soon after, Wang Xian saw a dozen figures flying towards him. The one in the lead was a woman. Her body was covered in flowing water, and she had a comfortable smile on her face. Next to him was a young man covered in flowing water. Both of them exuded a powerful and noble aura. They flew over and fixed their eyes on Wang Xian. This is really amazing. I didn't expect Brother Wang to have made a breakthrough in your strength. The one who spoke was the Saintess of the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone, Saintess Luiyue. She looked at Wang Xian with astonishment in her eyes. As the holy maidens of the Flowing Water Forbidden Land, they possessed a large number of treasures. Naturally, there were also many treasures that could investigate one's strength. They could naturally sense that Wang Xian had made a breakthrough in his strength. After the breakthrough, Wang Xian would possess the same level of combat power as them. Although they didn't think that Wang Xian was a match for them, it wouldn't be easy for them to kill Wang Xian either, especially since he had obtained the inheritance corpse of a top-notch expert from the last cataclysm. Hee, I'm just lucky. Wang Xian looked at the crowd from the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone. His gaze fell on Saintess Luiyue, and he gave a faint smile. This is not a matter of luck. Saintess Luiyue looked at Wang Xian before turning to Long Yinhao and the rest. She said directly, Saintess Wang Xian, to be honest, we have a favor to ask of you. Oh, please speak, Holy Maiden Lu Yu. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked at them curiously. Our Flowing Water Forbidden Land has a technique that allows us to use a single person as the core to divert and evenly distribute any damage. Holy Maiden Lu Yu said, we used this method to divert the willpower attack from the demonic pillar, but one of our junior brothers, who was the core of the attack, died in less than a minute. This is because we have already diverted the willpower of the demonic pillar dozens of times. Given our willpower and mental strength, we can't withstand the impact at all. It's hard to imagine how Holy Sun Wang Xian succeeded. As she spoke, she suddenly stopped. Wang Xian looked at her, smiled, and gestured for her to continue. To break the demonic pillar, an expert of the same attribute is required to inject energy into the demonic pillar. However, it's not necessary to withstand the willpower attack. This method of ours is very safe. Of course, the prerequisite is that we can withstand the willpower attack. We would like to seek Holy Sun Wang Xian's help to break the demonic pillar with this method. Saintess Luiyue continued. As for the demonic pillar, after Wang Xian obtained one, they had been trying to break the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone to gain the recognition of the expert corpse within. However, they had never succeeded. They had even lost a junior brother at the Third Order Universe Sovereign Realm. Based on the time of their junior brother's death, they concluded that even if they could raise their strength by another level, they wouldn't be able to withstand the willpower attack. This shocked them to the core. They couldn't understand how Wang Xian had withstood the willpower attack. You want to use me as the core, and I will bear the majority of the willpower attack to gain the recognition of the expert corpse within the demonic pillar, right? Wang Xian looked at the Saintess of the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone and asked directly, yes, this method of the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone can help you bear some of the willpower attack. Of course, this is our limit. You will have to bear the majority of the willpower attack yourself. Of course, since you can withstand the willpower attack of the spatial demonic pillar alone, I believe you can also withstand the impact of the other demonic pillars. After all, experts at the pinnacle sovereign realm with the spatial attribute are recognized as the strongest. Saintess Luiyue said, of course, the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone won't let you help for free. You can state your conditions, and we will try our best to fulfill them. Hearing her words, Wang Xian's eyes flickered. He swept his gaze across the demonic pillars. Sure. I want 2 water-attributed demonic pillars. He hesitated for a dozen seconds, then said, 2 water elemental demonic columns. Also, since we're going to open the demonic columns, we might as well open them all. You, the Flowing Water Forbidden Land, contact the disciples of the Thoughtful Forbidden Land and the other Forbidden Lands. Contact the disciples of the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone and other forbidden grounds. Other than the 2 water-attributed demonic pillars, I want to pick 2 items from the remaining demonic pillars, apart from the corpses of the experts. Wang Xian stated his conditions directly. Since the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone had this method, Wang Xian could open all the demonic pillars. After opening them, he didn't care about the experts' corpses because they weren't of much use to him. But Wang Xian couldn't miss out on some of the treasures on these experts. In addition, he wanted the two water-attributed experts' corpses for Long Yining and Long Yinhao. He had been with them for tens of millions of years, and they had a lot of friendship. He would give them an opportunity. Two water-attributed corpses. Brother Wang Xian, aren't you asking for too much? Before Saintess Luiyue could answer, the other saint of the flowing water forbidden zone spoke up immediately. There were 3 water-attributed demonic pillars on the entire second floor. If Wang Xian wanted 2, the third would definitely be Saintess Luiyue's. Then he wouldn't get anything. This was unacceptable to him. Brother Wang Xian, 2 water-attributed corpses. Is that too much? I can give you 1. Saintess Luiyue frowned slightly as she spoke. It's not much. You can consider it. You provide the spells, and I'll provide the strength. Demonic pillars of other attributes are useless to you, but you can trade with the others from the flowing water forbidden zone. I believe the value of the demonic pillars you offer will definitely be more than what I get. Oh, right. I know the saint of the Void Dragon Sacred Land. I'll trade with them for the metal-attributed demonic pillars. In other words, I want 3 demonic pillars and 2 treasures from each expert. Overall, the flowing water forbidden zone is still the one with the biggest advantage. Wang Xian said. Chapter 3990. Wang Xian's condition wasn't too demanding. There were a total of 12 demonic pillars. He had absorbed 1 himself, so there were still 11 left. Of these 11 demonic pillars, he wanted 3, leaving 8. He wanted 2 treasures from the corpses of the experts in the demonic pillars. In the flowing water forbidden land, they would obtain 8 corpses of experts and 8 powerful inheritances. Compared to treasures, these inheritances were much more powerful. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that unless these 8 experts had extremely powerful treasures on them, they wouldn't be as valuable as these inheritances. Furthermore, if the treasures were only at the level of inborn cardinal treasures, the value of these treasures would at most be equivalent to 3 corpses. In any case, the flowing water forbidden land would be more profitable. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, Saintess Luiyue frowned slightly and pondered. You can have the other attributes, but we want 2 of the water attribute. The saint of the flowing water forbidden land said to Wang Xian with a complicated expression, or we can compensate with other treasures. The saint of the flowing water forbidden land didn't want to give up a top-notch inheritance of a universe lord. Such an inheritance existed in the flowing water forbidden land, but it wasn't something he could obtain. He was only a saint of this generation. There were many generations of saints and saintesses in the past. Some of the saints and saintesses were even more talented than him. Therefore, the inheritance of the demonic pillars was very important to him. What's the use of giving me the demonic pillars of other attributes? The disciples of the Roaring Dragon Forbidden Land are all of the water attribute. Wang Xian shook his head plainly. There's no room for negotiation. If you agree, we'll cooperate. If not, forget it. As he spoke, he swept his gaze across the surrounding demonic pillars. Wang Xian wasn't very interested in these demonic pillars. The cultivation methods of the 9-source universe and the sword and sorcerer mainland were somewhat different. As members of the Divine Dragon clan, they had their own cultivation methods. They had offensive methods that weren't weaker than the sword and sorcerer mainland. Therefore, Wang Xian didn't really care about the corpses of these experts. Roving Sword and the rest weren't too demanding for the corpse of the metal attribute expert. Cultivation methods were different. Even if they obtained the corpses of experts, they could only carry out supplementary cultivation. As for treasures, they were all right. If he could get his hands on them, Wang Xian was prepared to sell them all in exchange for resources to enhance the strength of his physical body and the strength of the 5 elements Great Grindstone Tai Chi Dragon Plate. When the saint of the flowing water forbidden land heard Wang Xian's decisive words, his face darkened. Lu Yu's brows furrowed slightly as she glanced at the saint beside her. I'll contact the seniors of our flowing water forbidden land. She hesitated for a moment before speaking. The inheritance within these demonic pillars was too powerful. Even though she was the saintess of the flowing water forbidden zone, she could not make the decision. Can you contact the outside? That's even better. If you agree, I need your flowing water forbidden land to protect the Dragon Roar forbidden land and prevent the experts from the other forbidden lands and holy lands from threatening us to give the 2 water-attributed demonic pillars to others. Wang Xian added. Sure. Luyu Saintus nodded and immediately contacted her. Buzz buzz. Yes, the seniors of our flowing water forbidden land have agreed. Soon, Saintus Luyu spoke to Wang Xian. All right, let's start now. Wang Xian looked at Luyu Saintus and said. Luyu Saintus nodded and looked at the water-attributed demonic pillars in front of her. The 3 water-attributed demonic pillars can be distributed as you wish. There aren't many records of the experts from the previous cataclysm. Sure. Wang Xian nodded and did not reject. In that case, we'll be circulating our spells to connect all of us together. Brother Wang Xian, although you don't have the water attribute, you should be fine as long as you don't resist. As Luyu Saintus spoke, she looked at the surrounding disciples and said, Let's start. Set up the spell and cast the spells. It's Luyu Saintus. The disciples answered immediately. At the side, the saint of the flowing water forbidden land was indignant. However, the flowing water forbidden land was ruled by Luyu Saintus. His strength was a level lower than hers. There was no room for him to resist. Qianlu Saint, this time, the seniors of the flowing water forbidden land will give you some compensation. There will be plenty of benefits too. Luyu Saintus said to Qianlu Saint. Qianlu Saint took a deep breath and nodded. Let's begin. Luyu Saintus said. She looked at Wang Xian and said, Brother Wang Xian, stand here. No problem. Wang Xian nodded his head and took a step forward. The disciples of the flowing water forbidden land also stood around Wang Xian immediately. Brother Wang Xian. At the side, Long Yinin and the rest could not help but shout at Wang Xian. It'll take a few days to a few hours. Let's begin. Wang Xian smiled at them. He then looked at Luyu Saintus. Luyu Saintus nodded. With a flick of her palm, a huge magic staff appeared in her hand. She waved it forward, and streams of water connected everyone. Wang Xian looked at the water flowing into his body. He sensed that there was no danger. It's about to begin. Wang Xian, don't resist. As Luyu Saintus spoke, she moved her palm and landed it on the demonic pillar. Subsequently, an impact force of willpower surged towards her. However, the impact force of willpower entered her body and spread to the surroundings along with the flow of water. Wang Xian's eyes flickered when he saw it. Subsequently, he felt a strong impact force of willpower surging towards him. Wang Xian focused his eyes and resisted with all his might. Images appeared in his mind one after another. The battle scene was similar to what he had seen before, but there were some differences. And this time, Wang Xian felt that the impact force of willpower was much weaker than the previous time. This was because the impact force of willpower had been slightly dispersed. After all, there were more than a dozen people around to help him share the burden. Besides, space was king. Naturally, the impact force of experts with space attributes was the strongest. Wang Xian resisted the impact force of willpower, and the images in his mind flickered continuously. This time, it was much faster than the previous time. What are the flowing water forbidden land and Wang Xian doing? Could it be that they have found a way to break the demonic pillar? Around them, the saints of the obscene forbidden land and the rest of the saints and saintesses of the Sacred Institute looked over, their eyes gleaming. The saints and saintesses of the obscene forbidden land exchanged glances. They moved and flew over. Chapter 3991. What are they doing? The barbarian saint flew over and swept his gaze across Luyu and Wang Xian. His eyes were shining. Senior brother, this Saint Wang Xian seems to have made a breakthrough again. At this time, the Holy Virgin of Innocent Forbidden Land looked at Wang Xian. A treasure on her wrist was glowing as she exclaimed in surprise. Should be. This Wang Xian saint is a monster. He must have encountered many great opportunities, and his combat power is very strong. The barbarian saint nodded, his gaze landing on Long Yinhao and the others, a questioning look in his eyes. The barbarian saint, Lu Yu, and big brother Wang Xian are preparing to break the demonic pillar and obtain the treasures and corpses inside. Long Yinhao said immediately when he saw the barbarian saint's gaze. Long Yinhao didn't dare to be rash against the strongest saint in the sword and sorcery universe. Do they have a way to break the demonic pillar? The barbarian saint narrowed his eyes and asked with a burning gaze. Lu Yu said she has a way to break it with our big brother Wang Xian's help. Long Yinin replied. They had just arrived and didn't know what the corpses inside the demonic pillar represented. They didn't know what was so precious about them. We can break it. The barbarian saint's eyes shone. They stood at the side and stared at it. The flowing water forbidden land was here, and no one dared to break the demonic pillar. The omniscient forbidden land wouldn't disturb them either. Time passed quickly. However, after 5 hours, the entire demonic pillar emitted a unique energy. The energy barrier on the demonic pillar began to dissipate gradually. Wang Xian opened his eyes and looked up. We did it. Lu Yu, who was at the side, was thrilled. She stared at the demonic pillar that had been broken open. Her body was trembling slightly. We did it. We really did it. What a fast speed. The will of this Wang Xian saint is so terrifying. We did it in just a few hours. I thought it would take a few days. A disciple from the flowing water forbidden zone said with a fervent gaze. Although they wouldn't be able to obtain these demonic pillars, they would definitely be able to obtain a lot of rewards. Let's continue. I'll take the corpses and treasures in this demonic pillar. The next one belongs to your flowing water forbidden area. Holy Maiden Lu Yu. You can choose one of the 2 demonic pillars. Wang Xian moved and came to the top of the demonic pillar. With a wave of his arm, he kept the corpse. The Lu Yu Holy Maiden nodded when she saw this scene and heard his words. A smile appeared on her face. All right, Saint Wang Xian. It's a pleasure working with you. I'll take this water-type demonic pillar then. Happy cooperation. Wang Xian smiled, looked at the demonic pillar that Saintess Lu Yue was pointing at, and nodded his head. Saintess Lu Yue, what method is this? Seeing this, the barbarian saint moved and flew towards Lu Yu Saintess with a burning gaze. He stared at her and then at Wang Xian, who was beside her. It's a unique method of the flowing water forbidden land. Of course, the main reason is that we have Saint Wang Xian to resist the impact of the will. Saintess Lu Yue smiled at him. If you want to open the next demonic pillar, Saint Wang Xian will have to take 2 of the treasures from the corpses in the demonic pillars. As for us, we will also need some resources to exchange for them. The barbarian saint can send a message to the seniors in your silence forbidden land. Let them talk to the seniors in our flowing water forbidden land. Saintess Lu Yue said to him with a smile. Radiance flickered in the eyes of the barbarian saint as he nodded his head without hesitation. All right, no problem. Saintess Lu Yue nodded her head and looked at Wang Xian. Let's continue. Saint Wang Xian. Sure. They moved and came to another demonic pillar. The flowing water forbidden land and Wang Xian worked together to break the demonic pillar. This is incredible. SSS, what method did they use to break the demonic pillar? Doesn't that mean they can break all the remaining demonic pillars? All the saints and saintesses of the forbidden lands and sacred lands flew over and watched the scene in shock. Wang Xian and the rest ignored the astonishment around them and continued to break the second water attribute demonic pillar. After a few hours, they broke the demonic pillar easily. Saintess Lu Yue flew over excitedly and collected all the corpses and treasures. Next, the third water attribute demonic pillar was easily broken by Wang Xian and the rest. Wang Xian collected all the corpses and treasures. Yinhao, these 2 corpses are for you. After getting the 2 corpses, Wang Xian immediately threw them to Long Yinin and Long Yinhao. Brother Wang Xian. No way. These are for us? Long Yinhao's eyes went wide with astonishment as he looked at a corpse that flew to his side, which had been around for eons. Long Yinin, who was beside him, was also shocked. They didn't understand these corpses at first, but after a few hours, hearing the exclamations and discussions of the saints and saintesses of the other sacred lands and forbidden lands, They completely understood the effects and abilities of these corpses. Because of the uniqueness of the death of the experts in the demonic pillar, and because they were sealed, all of their essence, spirit, and spirit were locked within the demonic pillar. Within the corpses, there were fragments of their spirit, as well as the understanding of the experts. As long as the corpse was placed beside one to cultivate, there was a high chance that one could absorb everything that the expert had learned when he was alive. What was this? This was an existence even more powerful and precious than the Sword Bowl magic mantle. Moreover, the Sword Bowl magic mantle had different levels. There weren't many Sword Bowl magic mantras at the pinnacle of the universe Lord Realm in the entire universe. But the corpses in the demonic pillars were several times more precious than the Sword Bowl magic mantle of the pinnacle of the universe Lord Realm. And now, Wang Xian had given this terrifying inheritance to them. This was no different from giving them a meteoric rise, giving them the capital to step into the pinnacle of the universe Lord Realm in the future, giving them the opportunity to become the pinnacle of the universe Lord Realm in the future. If I don't give it to you, what's the use of me keeping it? Hearing Long Yinhao's exclamation, Wang Xian smiled and said, quickly absorb the energy and essence of this corpse. Once we leave this universe ruin, it won't be safe anymore. It's a crime to be greedy, but as long as you absorb all of it, there won't be a problem. After absorbing this corpse, you have a chance to step into the pinnacle of the universe Lord Realm. Chapter 3992. This Saint Wang Xian actually gave the two corpses to his junior brother and junior sister in the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground? This is a great opportunity. For the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground, they don't even have the qualifications to obtain treasures of such a level. What kind of opportunity is this? If I remember correctly, Wang Xian joined the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground halfway, and now he actually gave them such terrifying opportunities. I'm afraid if Wang Xian was willing, he could exchange these two corpses for an identity no weaker than the saints and saintesses of the Flowing Water Forbidden Ground. In the surrounding area, the saints and saintesses of the other forbidden grounds saw this scene, their eyes blazing with passion. The jealousy and envy in their eyes were not concealed in the slightest. This kind of opportunity, even for the saints and saintesses of the Flowing Water Forbidden Ground, was incomparably huge. It was also something they didn't dare to ask for. And now they, two disciples at the pinnacle of the universe venerable realm, could obtain it. The heavenly Tao was simply unfair, especially the saint of the Flowing Water Forbidden Ground. When he heard Wang Xian's words, he did not conceal the jealousy and greed in his eyes. His breathing was a little ragged. Even he hadn't obtained a treasure of this level, and it was actually obtained by two people of a much lower status than him and much weaker than him. He was a little indignant. Brother Wang Xian, we, Long Yining and Long Yinhao were both stunned. Their mouths agape, their faces still filled with shock. These two corpses, to put it bluntly, if they were obtained by the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground, if they weren't in this universe ruin, in that case, these two corpses could bring a calamity to the Dragon Roar Forbidden Land. Yes, it was that terrifying. At present, the Dragon Roar Forbidden Ground had yet to produce a pinnacle universe Lord Realm expert. And these two corpses could allow an extremely talented disciple to have a 50% chance of reaching the pinnacle universe Lord Realm. Although it wasn't 100%, it was already very terrifying. The pinnacle universe Lord Realm was the pinnacle expert of the entire universe. Other than Tian Yuan creation, it was the strongest existence. And now, a huge opportunity had fallen upon them. I'll find a place to absorb it later. He turned to Saintess Luyu beside him and said, Saintess Luyu, hurry up and negotiate with the other sacred grounds and forbidden grounds. Once the negotiations are done, we will break all the remaining demonic pillars. All right. Saintess Liyue's eyes flickered as she looked at Wang Xian and then at Long Yining and her brother. She also revealed a tinge of envy. Holy sons and holy daughters, we will break the remaining demonic pillars. Apart from the metal-type demonic pillars, you can trade with us for the rest. Get your seniors to contact our seniors from the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone. The highest bidder will get it. Also, Let me remind you that 2 treasures from every expert's corpse will belong to Saint Wangxian. He can choose first. Lu Yu Holy Maiden said to all the holy sons and holy maidens. His words filled the faces of the holy sons and holy maidens with excitement. A wind attribute magic pillar. If we can absorb it, immediately contact the elders of our forbidden lands and have them talk to the flowing water forbidden land. All the legacies of pinnacle sovereigns. I hope the Sacred Institute can come to an agreement with the flowing water forbidden land. Excited voices sounded. Wang Xian's eyes flickered slightly when he saw this. Saintess Lu Yu, since we are in the universe ruins, can we send resources here from the outside? He couldn't help but ask Saintess Lu Yu. That's not possible. Saintess Lu Yu shook her head. Wang Xian's eyes flickered slightly as an idea formed in his mind. He didn't want all the treasures in the demonic pillars for his own use. He didn't lack treasures now. His main purpose was to exchange these treasures for resources to enhance his physical body. Apart from the water-type demonic pillar from the flowing water forbidden zone and the space-type demonic pillar that he had obtained, he could also choose 2 of the treasures from the 10 corpses of the experts in the flowing water forbidden zone. That would make 20 of them, and these 20 items were the strongest treasures of a pinnacle sovereign realm expert. Treasures of this level were extremely precious even for a pinnacle sovereign realm expert. If these treasures were exchanged for resources, Wang Xian's physical body would have an 80% chance of achieving another breakthrough. Yes, as long as Wang Xian achieved another breakthrough, his strength would be unimaginably terrifying. Target the Heaven Yuan creation realm? It might be difficult, but he was already above the sovereign realm. With a plan in mind, he looked around. Roving Sword was also around, but the 2 of them had concealed their relationship for the time being. Saint Roving Sword, please come over. I have something to discuss. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before speaking to Roving Sword. Upon hearing Wang Xian, Roving Sword cupped his fist and flew towards him immediately. The 2 of them flew to the side. Huh. What's the relationship between the Saint of the Void Dragon Forbidden Zone and Saint Wang Xian? It seems like the Saint of the Void Dragon Forbidden Zone is respectful to Saint Wang Xian. What's going on? I don't know. Do they know each other? What's their relationship? When the surrounding saints and saintesses saw Wang Xian and Roving Sword walking to the side, they were shocked. They were the 2 strongest dark horses in this round's outstanding role. One was Saint Roving Sword of the Void Dragon Sacred Land. The other was Saint Wang Xian of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Zone. These 2 were absolute dark horses. Extremely terrifying dark horses. Now it seemed like they knew each other. This made them extremely curious. Our Saint Wang Xian knows the Saint of the Void Dragon Forbidden Zone? How did they know each other? Yeah, what's going on? The disciples of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Zone were also a little surprised to see this. Long Yinin and Long Yinhao were also a little surprised, their faces filled with curiosity and contemplation. Big Brother Wang Xian must have seen the experts and disciples of the Void Dragon Forbidden Zone in the Sacred Moon. Long Yinhao guessed. Yeah, it's highly possible. Long Yinin nodded as well. However, they did not suspect Wang Xian of anything. What a joke. The 2 corpses that Wang Xian had given them were more precious than the entire Dragon Roar Forbidden Zone. What was Wang Xian after in the Dragon Roar Forbidden Zone? That was impossible. The saints and saintesses of the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone and Innocence Forbidden Zone saw Wang Xian and Roving Sword walking to the side, and their eyes flickered. They were guessing the relationship between them. After all, Wang Xian and Roving Sword were existences that had obtained, or were about to obtain, the legacy of the corpses within the demonic columns. They might become top-notch experts in the future. They had to take them seriously. Chapter 3993, Dragon King, what can I do for you? At the side, Roving Sword looked at Wang Xian and transmitted his voice to him respectfully. Next, I'll trade the treasures I've obtained with the Sacred Institute of the Forbidden Grounds. After the trade, I'll have the Draconic Dragon receive the resources. Now, let's not reveal our identities for now, Wang Xian told Roving Sword. After all, they did not belong to this universe. In order to prevent being targeted, Wang Xian decided to be more careful. All the treasures were traded in this universe ruin and handed over to the saints and saintesses of the sacred grounds and forbidden grounds. Then, the mystic dragon would take the resources first. Wang Xian's main body went out to retrieve it. This way, the transaction could be guaranteed to go smoothly. If he were to conduct the transaction outside, Wang Xian was afraid that some powerful forbidden grounds and sacred grounds would covet it. Just in case, this was also the best way. Yes, Dragon King. Dragon King, in what capacity shall we get along from now on? Roving Sword nodded and asked, Let's just pretend that we met in the Sacred Moon. The master of the Void Dragon Forbidden Land and I also met, said Wang Xian. Roving Sword nodded. He moved and flew to the side. Big brother Wang Xian, do you know Roving Sword Saint from the Void Dragon Forbidden Ground? Long Yinhao asked curiously when he saw Wang Xian flying over. Yes, I met him in the Holy Moon. I also met the Lord of the Void Dragon Forbidden Land. Of course, I only found out about it later. Wang Xian did not hide anything as he replied with a smile. Holy Lady Luyue, we've already reached an agreement with your flowing water Forbidden Land. We want the fire, wind, and thunder demonic pillars. At this moment, the barbarian saint received a message and spoke to Luyu Saintess. Yeah, I've also received the message. Saintess Luyue nodded her head. She turned to Wang Xian and said, Sorry to trouble you, Saint Wang Xian. We're just working together. Wang Xian shook his head. The group moved and came before the wind attribute demonic pillar. Then, he continued to decipher the demonic pillars. One by one, the demonic pillars were broken. Wang Xian was the first to arrive before the corpses and took away 2 treasures. A weapon that could be used by a universe ruler realm expert was not simple. It was especially so for the 2 items that Wang Xian had chosen first. Each and every one of them was a rare existence. This made Wang Xian's gains extremely terrifying. By the time he broke these 3 demonic pillars, the ownership of the other demonic pillars had already been negotiated. As for the other forbidden lands, the Sacred Institute and the Flowing Water Forbidden Land had reached an agreement. The 12 demonic pillars were broken one by one. He was the last one. This made the saints and saintesses who had obtained the corpses in the demonic pillars extremely excited. To them, this was an incomparably huge opportunity. They could become top-notch experts. Saintess Luyue, I have a request. Could you get the seniors in your tribe to contact the experts of the Void Dragon Forbidden Ground? We would like to make a deal with Saint Wang Xian. Roving Sword cupped his hands towards Luyu Saintess after all the demonic pillars had been destroyed. No problem. What kind of deal does the Void Dragon Sacred Ground want with you? Luyu Saintess said very politely. We would like to exchange all the treasures in the hands of Saint Wang Xian for resources and trade with the powerful sacred grounds and forbidden grounds. Roving Sword answered. You want to trade all the treasures of the experts that Saint Wang Xian has obtained? Luyu Saintess' eyes narrowed as she looked at Wang Xian. Yes, I have so many resources in my hands. Naturally, I want to exchange them for things that are useful to me. Otherwise, they will be coveted by other experts. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. All right, I'll contact the 2 of you immediately. Luyu Saintess' eyes flickered. All of them had seen the treasures that Wang Xian had obtained. Some of the treasures were indeed extremely powerful. There were the magic staffs, sharp swords, and the protective clothing that these experts were wearing. These were top-notch treasures in any of the forbidden grounds. Naturally, they wanted to obtain them and trade with them. In the surroundings, the disciples of the Sacred Academy and the Forbidden Lands immediately spread the news to the senior experts of the Sacred Academy and the Forbidden Lands. After settling the matters, Wang Xian went to the side. Yinhao, I'll set up a barrier for you. You can start cultivating inside. Strive to raise your strength to the 3rd Order or 4th Order Universe Lord Realm in the next 80 million years. Wang Xian said to Long Yinin and Long Yinhao, with the corpses of the experts and the dense energy here. Next, their strength would experience a period of explosive growth. It shouldn't be a problem to raise a few levels in 80 million years. Thank you, Big Brother Wang Xian. Long Yinin's eyes flickered as he thanked Wang Xian. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. With a wave of his palm, space swords appeared one after another. The space swords rose and formed a terrifying sword shroud space. You guys can cultivate inside now. I'll also cultivate inside after I'm done with some matters, Wang Xian said to them as he swept his gaze across the disciples of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Grounds. You guys can cultivate around here? Yes, Saint Wang Xian. The disciples answered respectfully. Now, they were exceptionally respectful to Wang Xian. Not to mention, even Saintess Luiyue and Barbarian Saint were polite to Wang Xian. Wang Xian had taken out 2 corpses and given one to each of the Saint and Saintess of the Dragon Roar Forbidden Grounds. Such an act was worthy of their respect. Wang Xian settled the matters of Long Yining and the rest and waited. Waiting for the time to come. Saint Wang Xian, we've helped you to contact the experts of the Void Dragon Forbidden Grounds. Saint Wang Xian, are you going to sell all the treasures you have? Saintess Luiyue asked Wang Xian and Roar Sword a few days later. Yes, all of them. We'll pass the treasures to the saints and saintesses of the Forbidden Grounds after the Sacred Institute purchases it. Wang Xian nodded his head and replied, the transaction will take place in 4,000 years. We, the Void Dragon Forbidden Grounds, need to make some preparations. Roving Sword said from the side. All right, I'll pass on your message. Saintess Luiyue nodded her head. The transaction was set to take place 4,000 years later because Enlai would come after 4,000 years. At that time, he would bring Wang Xian's real body away from the ruins of the universe. His real body would leave this space to prevent any accidents from happening during the transaction. In addition, once the transaction was successful, Wang Xian's real body would absorb it immediately. Chapter 3994. Holy Son Wang Xian. The obscene forbidden land wants 5 treasures. Holy Son Wang Xian. The flowing water forbidden land wants 4 treasures. More than 4,000 years passed by quickly. Within the universe ruins, the disciples of the Sacred Grounds and the Sacred Institute were trading with Wang Xian. Wang Xian passed the treasures to them. At the same time, within Tianyuan City, the 2 black dragon species collected all the resources traded by the Sacred Institute. There were a total of 20 treasures. Each of them was the strongest weapon used by a Pinnacle Universe Lord expert. These were definitely top-notch treasures. The value of such treasures was terrifying. The resources traded were enough to enhance Wang Xian's strength. Let's go. After the transaction was completed, the 2 succubus dragons immediately flew in one direction. Let's go. When they reached a certain spot, Wang Xian sensed the surroundings. His mind flickered as he gave an order to Enlai. Wang. In the next second, their figures disappeared without a trace. After sending the 2 black dragon species back to the Void Dragon Forbidden Land, Wang Xian ordered Enlai to bring him back to the Void Tower in the middle of the universe ruins. Where did this Void Dragon Forbidden Land come from? We've been searching for some time, but we didn't find any information or clues. We didn't even find the leader of the Void Dragon Sacred Ground. At the same time, in a grand hall in Tianyuan City, a group of experts from the Sacred Grounds were sitting inside. Among them, there were more than 20 Pinnacle Universe Lord experts. A Pinnacle Universe Lord expert from the Void Dragon Forbidden Land couldn't help but ask. I don't know. They seem to have appeared out of nowhere. However, the experts in the Void Dragon Forbidden Land aren't top-notch, but their disciples are very strong. They seem to have mastered powerful sword techniques. An old man from the Sacred Ground with a huge sword on his back shook his head, a puzzled look on his face. He couldn't help but look at the experts from the Flowing Water Forbidden Land and the Obscene Forbidden Land in the center. The Void Dragon Forbidden Land was originally out of their sight, but this time, there were a total of 20 Pinnacle Universe Lord Supreme treasures, allowing the Void Dragon Forbidden Land to obtain a large amount of resources. This amount of resources was extremely huge for any of the Forbidden Grounds and Sacred Grounds present. Obtaining such powerful resources naturally attracted their attention. In fact, some of the Forbidden Lands and Sacred Academies even had other ideas. This Forbidden Land of the Void Dragon is indeed very mysterious. I wonder where it came from. It must have come from some sealed treasure ground. An old woman from the Flowing Water Forbidden Zone said indifferently. They did not suspect that the Void Dragon Forbidden Land originated from another universe. This idea had never even been born. This was because they knew that before the cataclysm began, there would be a strong repulsive force between the universes. When experts from other universes enter this place, they will suffer a terrifying suppression. Moreover, they could also sense that the other party was not an expert from their sword and magic universe. No matter what, it's a good thing that our sword and magic universe has a powerful force. Then, he stood up and said, I still have matters to attend to. I'll take my leave for now. With that, the elder from the obsequious Forbidden Land vanished. The old woman from the flowing water Forbidden Land also cupped her hands and disappeared. The obsequious Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land were the only Forbidden Lands in the universe that possessed the creation stage of Tianyuan. They had the will of the creation stage experts. At the level of the creation stage of Tianyuan, what they saw was no longer the difference between the sacred grounds and the sacred grounds. It was the entire sword and magic universe. It was the multiverse. Otherwise, given their strength, there would be no other sacred grounds or sacred academies in the entire sword and magic universe. They would all belong to the two Forbidden Lands. The obsequious Forbidden Land and the flowing water Forbidden Land had also inherited the will of the creation stage of Tianyuan. Under normal circumstances, they would not bully the other Forbidden Lands and sacred grounds. This also contributed to the two Forbidden Lands' extraordinary status. After the experts from the two Forbidden Lands left, the experts from the other Forbidden Lands and sacred grounds glanced at each other and left immediately, each with their own thoughts. As for what they were going to do, only they knew. Those resources were enough for the experts from the sacred grounds to make a move. Wang Xian did not know what was going on here. However, when he came to the Void Tower, he reminded the Phantom Dragon and the others to be careful. Wang Xian still understood the principle of possessing a treasure being a crime. At this moment, Wang Xian wasn't too worried about the Void Dragon Forbidden Ground. Now that he had obtained powerful resources, his strength was enough for him to improve once again. Wang Xian transformed into his divine dragon form and entrenched himself in the Void Tower. He looked at the resources in front of him and revealed a faint smile. Absorb. Absorb quickly. A large amount of resources entered his body, causing his dragon energy to increase rapidly. As time passed, the energy in his body became thicker and thicker. A series of dragon roars rang out around him out of nowhere. These dragon roars seemed to come from the void, from the unknown. Just as Wang Xian was about to break through, illusions of divine dragons appeared around him. There were a total of 9 illusions of divine dragons circling above Wang Xian continuously. Slowly, the 9 divine dragons fused together. Wang Xian sensed the changes in his surroundings and his eyes flickered. The last time he broke through, he did not cause such a huge commotion. This time around, the momentum of the breakthrough was shocking. If they weren't in the Void Pagoda, it would have caused a huge earthquake. Even so, the entire interior of the Void Tower was shrouded in 9-colored energy. It filled every space. Even the powerful Void Pagoda was slightly fragile in front of this 9-colored light. Ding! Congratulations on breaking through to the 6th Order Universe Sovereign Realm. Ding! Congratulations to host for breaking through. The 9-Origin Dragon Domain has been strengthened. At this time, the voice of the system sounded. The divine dragon above Wang Xian gradually entered his body. The 9-colored radiance merged into one, causing the color of Wang Xian's body to look extremely strange. It was dark gold in color, but his dragon horn was like a diamond. It looked incomparably transparent. An extremely terrifying power surged out from his body. His entire body looked incomparably majestic. Sensing the energy contained within his body, Wang Xian was thrilled. He broke through. 6th Order Universe Sovereign Realm. His current strength was already above that of a universe ruler. Yes, above the universe ruler. Higher than the pinnacle universe ruler realm. Chapter 3995. Now, he had no idea how strong Wang Xian was. Without the help of the Heaven Origin Fortune Fragment, he could easily kill a universe ruler realm expert. With a thought, Wang Xian looked at his attributes. Name: Wang Xian. Race: 9 origins Divine Dragon, 1 with the dragon. Rank: 6th Order Universe Ruler. 9 transformations return to 1. Origin: 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough. Magic: dominate the aquatic creatures. Dominate any aquatic creatures lower than your own level. Devour living things. Devour living things to extract the source. Control of the 5 elements. Cultivation technique. Divine Dragon transformation. Divine powers: soul capture, spirit attachment. Nomological divine abilities: Dragon Eye Lock, 5 elements. Dragon Claw, Yin Yang World Breaker, 8 luminaries. Dragon Scale, Holy Dragon Shadow, 8 divisions of the Heavenly Dragon. Dragon Tomb, Soaring Cloud Dragon, True Dragon Body. Law of Dharma, 8 directional Dragon Pillar, 8 Dragon Clone, Towering Dragon Horn, Great Mighty Heavenly Dragon, Godly Tail Playing with Pearls, Dragon Breath of Life, Shadow Dragon Clone, Dark Dragon Pursuit, Dark Dragon Transformation, Wind Thunder Dragon Life, Berserk Dragon, Starburst. Domain: 9 origin Dragon Domain. Law of Mastery: Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Darkness, Wind, Lightning. Divine Kingdom, Dragon Palace. Possess Dragon Palace. Innate Dragon Palace members: 8060450. Looking at his message, a smile appeared on his face. Other than these attributes, Wang Xian currently had 2 Heavenly Yuan fragments, the Galaxy Lock Piece and the Book of Water Forbidden Curse. Apart from these 2 treasures, there was also the Black Spider Lily. This was also a very powerful and terrifying treasure. He could return to the state of a few seconds ago. It was extremely terrifying. As for the 5 elements Grindstone and the Taiji Dragon Coil, they were still at the 9th Order Universe Sovereign Realm. He hadn't been able to upgrade it. With the increase in strength, Wang Xian would be able to establish his clan in this universe. A smile appeared on his face. With a thought, Wang Xian, Long Yinhao, and Long Yinhao were cultivating in the same sword shield in the Void Divine Dragon's body. With that corpse and the intensity of the energy here, Wang Xian would be able to get a significant boost. He began to upgrade his Void Divine Dragon body with all his might. The body of the Void Divine Dragon would be a powerful trump card for Wang Xian when it matured in the future. The power of space was indeed terrifying. In terms of teleportation, it was extremely terrifying when it came to escaping and chasing the enemy. In the remaining time, Wang Xian began to cultivate in the universe ruins. Time passed day by day. 5,000 years later, Enlai flew over and reported a piece of news. This news did not come from the Dragon Palace, but from the Void Dragon Forbidden Land. The Forbidden Land of the Void had been attacked by unknown experts. Furthermore, they were transmitted into the Sacred Moon. The instant the expert attacked, the Charm Dragon was teleported out of the Saint Moon. Indeed, the huge amount of resources has attracted the covetous eyes of some forbidden lands and holy lands. I wonder which forbidden land or holy land did this. It shouldn't be the flowing water forbidden land, or the thoughtful forbidden land. Wang Xian mumbled to himself after receiving the news. Given their strength, there was no need for them to do such a thing to the thoughtful forbidden land and the flowing water forbidden land. All the other forbidden grounds with peak universe ruler realm experts were also possible. Although Wang Xian had expected this, the ambush still made him feel a faint murderous intent. However, Wang Xian did not know who the culprit was, and he had no way of taking revenge. Keep a low profile. Unless Wang Xian felt that he had the strength to go against the creation realm of Heavenly Yuan, he wouldn't go and massacre the entire sect. That would be too high profile, and he might be targeted by the creation realm experts. So he put this matter aside for the time being. For the next tens of millions of years, Wang Xian continued to cultivate. 40 million years later, Wang Xian's Void Dragon body broke through again, reaching the 5th Order Universe Ruler Realm. The strength of a 5th Order Universe Ruler Realm was already very terrifying. All disciples, get ready to come out. 80 million years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, a mighty voice suddenly rang out in the center of the universe ruins. All the disciples hurriedly opened their eyes when they heard this voice. The time of 100 million years was up. They were about to leave. Wang Xian opened his eyes and heaved a sigh of relief. He swept his gaze across the surroundings. According to his senses, The energy in the ruins of the universe had decreased a lot compared to the beginning. His gaze fell to the side. Long Yining and Long Yinhao had also opened their eyes. Both of them had broken through to the third-order universe ruler realm. In these 100 million years, their improvement in strength was very terrifying. Most importantly, it was because of that corpse. Now, that expert's corpse had already turned into ashes. The fragments that supported his energy and spirit had all been absorbed. Big brother Wang Xian, we're going out. Long Yining looked at Wang Xian and said with a face full of smiles. Big brother Wang Xian, I've advanced to the third-order universe sovereign realm. Ha ha ha, third-order universe sovereign realm. I'm the most impressive saint in our roaring dragon forbidden land. Ha ha, if my parents and grandfather knew about this, they would definitely be shocked. Long Yinhao stood up to the side, his face full of excitement as he spoke. To improve to this level in 100 million years, this was something they dared not imagine. According to their thinking, to be able to break through to the second-order universe ruler realm was already heaven-defying luck. Now that they were in the third-order universe ruler realm, their future path was clear in their minds. There was a great possibility of stepping into the peak universe ruler realm. This was a realm that none of the experts in the roaring dragon forbidden ground had stepped into. Haha, not bad. Wang Xian smiled and nodded at them. Big brother Wang Xian, what's your strength now? Long Yining asked Wang Xian. The fifth-order universe ruler realm? My improvement now requires a lot more time. Wang Xian answered with a smile. The fifth-order universe ruler realm and space attribute at that. This is considered one of the stronger ones in our roaring dragon forbidden ground. Big brother, you're still the best. We'll probably need a few 100 million years to step into the fifth-order universe ruler realm. Especially after we leave this place. Long Yining said with admiration, there's no hurry. There are still a few billion years before the cataclysm arrives. You guys have enough time. All right, let's go out. As Wang Xian spoke, he waved his arm and the sword shield disappeared. In the surrounding area, some disciples of the roaring dragon forbidden ground had already stood up. Wang Xian swept a glance at them. Most of them had reached the peak universe ruler realm. Only 2 of them had not reached it because their cultivation levels were lower when they came. But this was unimaginable in the past. Cultivating here was better than cultivating in the roaring dragon forbidden ground. Lord Saint, Saintess. A group of disciples shouted happily when they saw them. Let's go. Wang Xian nodded at them.